Welcome to the monthly movie marathon, another fantastic episode of the show where we marathon movies monthly because in a monthly capacity we watch movies in a marathon format because we marathon movies monthly. I'm film critic Nick LeBarry here with my co-host, my co-person Peter Gray, Rotten Tomatoes certified critic. How are you?
You've upgraded. You are now, I'm film critic Nick LeBarry.
Yeah.
Like he gets quoted once and all of a sudden.
Well, it's apt that, you know,
it is
we're talking about this movie for this series.
But I am fantastic.
Oh, it's good to hear.
Yeah.
And we have a special guest today. Those who are watching on the YouTubes, hello, you would have seen
all of the tubes.
All of the tubes, and also Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts if you are listening to the show. But as always, if you want to find out what we look like and be sorely disappointed, you can watch us on YouTube. I didn't say...
Like, y'all can speak for yourself.
We have a friend with us today, our good friend and other film critic, Josh Barry from Film Notions on Instagram. Josh, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yes.
I guess you would say in your
Well,
capacity.
we'll say long-time listener as he's like, oh, there's only some podcasts I listen to.
He's like, I start some of them, and you guys are so fucking shit. No. But no, it's exciting to have you here today. You are an Evil Dead fan.
I wouldn't call myself like a huge fan, but I really like the...
And you're the only person who's watched Ash versus the Evil Dead in this room.
Yeah.
So you're a bigger fan than Pete and I. So that on this show, that qualifies you as an expert.
Or maybe
God,
you just have more time than us.
Yeah, I think at the time that came out, I definitely had more time.
What's changed?
But I'm groovy.
I'm groovy, baby.
I'm groovy.
Hail to the king, baby. Obviously, if this is your first time watching, this is a show where Pete and I every month choose a movie that's coming out in cinemas because, as we found out last episode, there's at least one movie coming out per month
Just
in
one.
cinemas. That's the mathematical equation that us scientists...
There is at least one movie coming out.
And for the month of April, that movie is the fifth film in the Evil Dead franchise, Evil Dead Rise. Now, this movie premiered South by Southwest to a lot of critical acclaim. A lot of people loved it. There's been anticipation for this film. It was supposed to be HBO Max and tested so well, went to the cinemas. They said the same thing about Magic Mike's Last Dance, and I think that was a good call too because that was a cinematic experience.
And also, just offshooting that,
yes,
Amazon Air.
Yes.
Air was
people don't know that. Air was in
meant to be
Amazon Studios.
And thank God that went to cinemas. Basically, the moral of the story is if you've got a big movie and it's going to streaming, don't send it to streaming, put it in cinemas.
Put it in the
Because it'll go to
cinemas.
streaming anyway. So you might as well make a little bit of extra money.
Yeah. You might as well. And that's what exactly happened with Evil Dead Rise. And we will talk about it a bit more at the end, but as this episode is coming out, Pete and I can say we've both seen it.
And quite a while ago now.
We saw it back in February.
Yeah, we saw this, like 2 months ago.
But that's because there is some fun interviews coming out in which
Very
the two
fun.
lead actresses of Evil Dead Rise are Australian, Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan.
Yes.
And they are fantastic in the film, and we both had the chance to talk to them. I'm going to just put it out there. I think it's the best and my favorite interview I've ever done. I rewatched the video, edited it together, and trailer, and I think it's my favorite.
Nice.
Just their energy was great.
Oh, I can attest to that. They were just having a great time. Wild gals.
Is the movie good? We'll find out.
I was like, are we saying that? Well, because Josh hasn't seen it.
Josh hasn't seen it,
So I
and
feel like
Josh
we
is
should,
excited.
So I feel like
for
we
it, so-
shouldn't say anything.
You're excited to see Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah,
You're
100%.
very keen.
Yeah.
If you want to know how we feel, here's a nice little plug.
Yes.
If you go to Warner Brothers
Oh.
AU's Instagram,
Yes.
or their Twitter, you'll see Nick and myself quoted.
Yes. Our quotes were used for...
I'm I mean,
You're off first cab off the rank, by the way.
also, I'm a little bit annoyed that my fucking last name is spelled wrong.
I saw that. I did see that.
But apart
They
from that,
they put your name in there.
They
at
put
least.
my name in it. This is the third time now in like a couple of weeks that
That's
I've
happened.
actually been Peter Gray.
That's pretty cool.
AE review. So
That's
I'm very,
fucking cool.
very happy that is starting to happen.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm also very, very proud of
yeah,
Nick.
I am. Congratulations, mate.
Nick got it.
Thanks,
as
guys.
well.
Generally the dream.
It
is.
Honestly,
It's one of the dreams, isn't it?
It's like the poster quote, the trailer quote,
Yeah.
the Blu-ray cover.
It's what
quote.
It's what we do it
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
We don't do it for the recognition or the money.
none
We
of
do
it.
it for the pull
We
quotes.
definitely don't. Do it for
Because
the
we
money.
don't get definitely don't get money.
So yeah, to everyone out there who was just like, "Oh, you got paid." Oh, yeah, for the fuck we did. Jesus Christ!
Why the fuck do you think we're on so many podcasts?
God.
We're hustling for that cash.
But yes,
But that is an indicator of what we think of the film.
Yes.
Plus, by the time this comes out, our reviews will be released because our
released.
embargo is up. So if you go NovaStream Network or the AU review, you'll see our written reviews. I've got my filmed review that will be out on Instagram. And then you'll see Josh's reaction not long after because we'll be seeing it on... This comes out Friday. On Monday, we'll be watching it.
We'll be
in
watching
the
it.
best cinema in Brisbane.
Yes.
It's in Titan.
I'm
And-
excited about that.
we when we saw this film, we were like, "Fuck, we need to see this with an audience."
yeah.
It is an audience.
It's an audience
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah,
there is
yeah.
just some...
Yeah.
There are
I mean,
scenes...
considering
that
it
need
was
to be
just
seen
the
with an
two of
audience.
us and a security guard, we made enough noise for like a whole
Whole-
cinema.
yeah.
And the security
Or
guard.
security guard.
So she was like, she
Walking
had
in.
she had a choice between like this and
It was Air. So we were there with the Warner Brothers reps, and, they were watching Air. We were watching.
and we were watching
Evil
Evil
Dead.
Dead Rise. And she was like, "Oh, I'm seeing this one," and she hates horror movies. She hates gory horror films.
wow.
And Evil Dead Rise is an R-rated gory horror film.
Actually, like
And-
officially just rated R18 in Australia. So
and
good.
it deserves its R rating. And
Oh, God,
she
yeah.
was just like,
I'll give you.
not having a good time.
I'll give you 2 words as to why it
Cheese-
should be rated R18. Cheese grater.
Okay.
So that's a little taste of what's to come. So safe to say, if you haven't guessed already, we really liked the movie.
Yeah.
But
Or did we? Yeah, we got quoted. We got quoted because we were just like, Evil Dead Rise is shit.
Evil Dead's an abomination. But the reason then for this episode of Monthly Movie Marathon is that there are films that have come beforehand, plus a TV.
Form film.
Former films.
Films are for.
It's so funny because obviously Josh is a good friend of ours, but Josh and I, along with our friend Kieran, do a podcast, that 1 Inch Barrier of Foreign.
Yeah,
and
you guys
international
do
cinema.
a podcast without me, but that's fine.
I'm
we
sure
have 2
you'll probably
podcasts
get on
together.
there.
Pardon?
Oh my god! It's the demons. It's the Evil Dead demons. So this morning we recorded our episode of our international cinema podcast, and it's so funny we get all the words right. We're talking about international cinema, so we got to rehearse how to pronounce names and stuff. And then as soon as we come on here, it's like former films for the Evil Dead franchise.
Starring Britt Campbell.
But yes, the Evil Dead series has a lot of notoriety and in a positive way because it is almost like a cult franchise.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It's never made incredible bank, but it has got such a dedicated fan base that it is now literally a 40-year-old franchise. Like that's crazy to think
Yeah.
about. That the first movie came out in 1981, so it's 42 years old. Right? Insane.
Wow.
Well, actually, funny we say that. It was first premiered in 1981, didn't release in the United States until 1983. So, because Sam Raimi, this was everyone who's seen The Evil Dead, and as we'll talk about, it is as amateur first film, gritty, video nasty as it comes. Like this is the epitome of a guerrilla filmmaking sort of movie.
Well, he just couldn't get the funding.
That's the thing. And then they ended up getting distribution,
Yeah.
and they got a UK distributor
Yeah.
who was like, "We're going to release it," and then they were like, "You're not showing this in the United
Well,
Kingdom."
it's funny
Yeah.
because it sort of plays into that whole thing of like Europeans tend to be a little bit more free.
Yes.
No, I feel like they're not as prudish.
Right. Yeah. Which you would assume so, right? Because you've seen half of the movies that play on Friday night on SBS. Like most of them are European, and most of them have nudity and violence. I know, disgusting. We would never discuss those.
Not
We'd
nudity.
never discuss that on this podcast. But it was like violence was always the thing back in the day. And like the whole video nasty thing and censorship in the 1970s.
But then it's weird how that's
80s.
kind of this other thing now where violence can just be as fucked as it wants. But then you show like a little bit of like nudity and you're like, nah.
The crazy example though is right. Like, so the Evil Dead 1981 and Evil Dead 2013 are both rated R18. One of those movies is significantly more violent than the other. So it's an interesting breakdown.
It is amazing to watch that original now.
Yes.
And then think that this was banned in countries.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of funny.
Because you watch it and just like go, you just be like, this is what we're showing to 4-year-olds now, right?
I will actually say on that, I do think out of the 4 that we're talking about, that is the second most violent. I think the Evil Dead is actually still quite disturbing now. Like,
I would agree with that. Out of the 4 that we're talking about.
Out of the 4, yes. There might be one coming out that is more violent than all of them. But we'll kick into it with The Evil Dead, the cult classic, the cult horror classic. So came out in 1981, officially 1983 in wide release, directed by Sam Raimi, who
we love Sam
is
Raimi.
synonymous now with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy. He also did Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I liked because of Sam Raimi.
I agree. I liked how it kind of went a little bit batshit insane.
And at the end. But that batshit craziness was so prevalent in The Evil Dead. So critically on Rotten Tomatoes, 85%, audience score 84.
Oh, just funny how we're seeing all of this
Discourse
thing around the fact that the Super Mario Brothers movie is
Critics got it wrong.
It's like 55%, and
Josh is a critic and he liked it, but I liked it too.
I've seen quite a few now though.
But it's like we all liked it, and I'm like 55% means it's
over 50% of the
means
people
more
liked it.
critics liked it. It's because it needs to be like 60% for it to be considered fresh. So everyone looks at it and goes, oh, it's rotten. I'm like, it means 45% of critics didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it's funny how everyone's like, well, critics don't like it, but audiences like it and audiences always get it right. And then you look at this and just go, well, then who got it right here? It's the same.
It's the exact same.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just so stupid that there's so much emphasis on like critics and audiences.
The other thing as well, imagine if Super Mario was like 90% Rotten Tomatoes. The 90% aggregate would be like a 3 out of 5, a 3.5 out of 5. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. But yes, audiences and critics aligned on The Evil Dead. 5 friends travel to a cabin in the woods where they are unknowingly when they unknowingly release flesh-possessing demons. Now, I just want to see how much this movie was made for, because
I'm gonna predict it's under. It's definitely under $1 million.
$350,000, which for 1980s, bit of cash, but not a lot.
No, but I think he borrowed most of it.
I think he did too. I think even
like,
after the movie came out, he was like, so that
because they just wouldn't.
The cabin was also the lodging for all the crew.
Yes, I read it.
How crazy! That's awesome.
They had to sleep there.
I think that's why this movie has such a cult status, is because it is so like everyone who's made a film or wanted to make a feature film knows what this is like.
Yeah.
Is hustling and grinding for your cash, and then everyone stays in a cabin. And the prosthetics that were used, the awkward editing and cutting to showcase like something else. One of the best shots that made me laugh but made me so happy in the film is when Cheryl's in the basement and she's pushing the door up, and it's obviously Cheryl in a bit of makeup. And then it cuts to a shot of the most obvious doll head on a stick coming out. Like, it's those sorts of things that add so much charm to this movie.
There's a bits in Evil Dead 2 that
it's similar to
the certain things that I was like, I don't think I meant to have seen that.
But I mean, that's where the charm comes from. But for me, I watched it on the 4K re-release, and it's in a 4:3 aspect ratio because obviously they filmed it on, whatever cheap camera they could have got. When you watched it, was it the same? Was it in the boxed format 4:3, or was it a full screen, widescreen? Do you remember?
The original? No, I think it was in box format.
Format. Yeah. That's what I'm just trying to see if because I have watched it on DVD, and I remember the DVD filled up, but obviously DVD was all about the widescreen full format. So it's awesome to see it in its original aspect ratio on the 4K. And I thought the transfer was actually pretty good. If we're breaking down technicalities.
But the good thing is like those sort of films, it's like it doesn't really matter if it looks shit.
God, no.
Because it's meant to be
exactly.
shit, I guess.
Totally.
Because they shot it in 16 millimeter.
Okay, yes, that makes sense.
Because that was all they could afford.
Yes, crazy. That's so.
And then it got blown up for the.
It does kind of give you like a little bit of hope that you're just like, well, if I got $500,000 together,
You could make something pretty.
I might be able to make something. And you know what? And then
the next cult classic.
And then it, I mean, you look like Skinnamarink.
Yeah.
The Winnie the Pooh movie.
Yeah.
How they made bank.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, oh, I don't know, probably have to do anything for the rest of my life now if they don't want to. Yeah.
The movie opens with the iconic, used in every film since, the point of view demon shot. Going through the woods. And I love knowing that was literally just Sam Raimi running with a camera through trees, through water and stuff, sped up.
It was a camera. They put the camera on a plank of wood.
That's right. And
then they were running through.
That's so good.
And what's really great is like when you watch this, you realize how this influenced many other directors and films. What they do in this, because you watch it and just go, oh, I've seen this in God knows how many, and then you realize, oh, this one came first.
Yeah, that's
so good. But that shot's iconic now. That is synonymous with the Evil Dead. That is how everyone gets possessed in this movie now. This camera going through the woods, or in Evil Dead Rise, it goes through the car park of the apartment building. Like it's awesome. It's such a great shot.
You just get that like building like
terrifying too. It's so much fun. And then obviously Bruce Campbell, who's synonymous with the character of Ash, is so young in this movie. Oh man,
so young and so inexperienced.
I would say
it's like the nice, it's nice ways. He definitely grew into the role.
Yes.
But I also think the character grew with with the series as well.
Even you can't help but love him.
No,
he's like
totally
he's just got that. There's an immense likability about it that you're just like, I don't really care if this is him. Like, that's right. It's fine. I love just how cheap this movie feels. Like I said, in a charming way. Like the way they shoot the car getting stuck on the bridge, and like the wheel goes through, and then it's like the wheel's already gone through, the timber has fallen, and then the camera goes underneath, and they just drop 2 planks of wood onto the camera. I'm like, that's fantastic. It's so fair. It's so charming. It's so good. And then they get the car, they go to this old rundown cabin and this decrepit. I think one of the creepiest things and thing that I love is the chair constantly hitting the cabin wall. Yeah. And then as soon as he finds the key, it stops. And I was like, so even though it's a first time movie for Sam Raimi, it already has this really corny, campy, cheap feel. There's still a weird, like, tense atmosphere building of this is kind of creepy still. It's still like a scary movie.
Yeah.
And the clock, when the grandfather clock stops ticking, and it's this loud sound of like bong, bong. But it's just, there's so many fun things in this film. And the 5 characters, I mean, there's so many names. We have like Cheryl and Shelley.
Cheryl.
First of all. So
love a Cheryl.
That's the 1980s for you. That's the
like Cheryl. Yeah, she puts out. love a good Cheryl. All it's missing is like a dude called like Chet.
Scotty is the other guy as well. And I can't remember. And Linda, of course. So Sherry, Cheryl, Linda, Scotty, and Ash. Remember those because they're key names.
It sounds like a little like Disney sitcom, you know.
I mean, this is the Disney sitcom equivalent of horror.
Cheryl, here's Ash.
I think that my favorite part of the opening 15 minutes of this film is that it wastes no time. Like literally, they get settled in the cabin, and then all of a sudden, Cheryl's like demon hand is drawing the book face, and I was like, "Oh, we don't need an explanation for any of this."
That's very much the 3 Sam Raimi films. They're all like they waste zero time, and like the Evil, like the 2013 doesn't spend a lot of time, but it gives you more. But this one's literally just like, I want to start killing people right. And you're watching it going, I'm glad this got to this point. I didn't really need any of the other stuff.
And then the basement door starts moving a little bit, and then there's a fantastic cut because the music builds up, and then it's them making the smoothie, the red smoothie. I don't know what it was, probably a Bloody Mary or something. Well, that's fitting. But like even to that point, I was like, fuck, this movie's doing some pretty fun, smart shit. I was like, I'll let you have that. But then the basement door flies open and they're like, all right, we're literally wasting no time. Let's do what all good white people in horror movies do and go down into the basement and find out what's going on.
And again, it's sort of showing you this trope of like, you have a cabin in the woods. I'm like, you people are never getting out of this alive.
No, God, no.
It's like cabin in the woods and then backwater incest people.
Yes,
it's never
Deliverance
going to
style
work.
shit.
It's never going to work out well for you guys.
Scotty's the first one to go down. And he's down there for a little bit.
All good Scotty.
As all good Scotties do. And Ash is like calling out for Scotty and everyone's like, you've got to go down. Like something's happened to him. And Ash is like, fucking hell, all right. I guess I'll go down. And then Scotty, who is arguably the douchebag of the group, of course he jumps out of nowhere and scares Ash, gives him the old boo. But they they find the shotgun and then they find old relics and then they find the book, which I tried to write down about 3 times, so I wasn't watching this with subtitles. And I'm just going to call it the Book of the Dead because that's what it translates to.
Yeah.
But the Necrocan or the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
I tried to write, I literally was like 3
which
times.
again shows you why, leaping forward to the third film, it shows why he was like, I kind of said the words correctly because like they're all very.
Oh my God, that's such
like,
a good point.
Because he just like, it's really hard to say these fucking words. You just go, it sounds about right.
Necronomicon. That's so fucking great. And they find the book, the relics, and obviously the tape recorder. And then there's a shot that like cuts outside and this black mist covers the moon. The best part of that movie is that probably signifies, right, oh, evil's here. He does it about 3 different times in the movie. It'll cut outside and it's like, the moon's getting covered again. I was like, hasn't the evil started?
And you probably also know there's like a dude on the side of the set holding a big thing just being like, do I do it now?
He's like, I want to go to sleep in the cabin. We're going to get this shot.
Like, can't I just do it once and you just show it 3 times?
Yeah.
And they find the tape recorder and they play it and it's like this professor who's talking about discovering stuff on an ancient burial site, of course. And, you know, as good white people do, dig that shit up. And you find about the Book of the Dead, which has the capability of resurrecting demons. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Of course, on the recording, this dumb fuck says the thing you need to do. He's like, and if you say it just like this... He's like, never do it, but just in case, this is how you pronounce it.
Question: if you were in a cabin in the woods, and creepy shit started happening, or you somehow ended up in there, like, would a curiosity, would you kind of want to look at certain shit, or would you just go, I want out, or would you kind of just go, oh, I kind of want to read the book?
Josh?
When you started saying that, I thought, no, of course you wouldn't. But then I'm thinking, well, you're going to think, well, this isn't a movie.
Yeah.
This is
let's
real
see
life. Let's see what this is about.
I,
Let's see if fucking,
Because
3 times in the mirror.
Because what's the worst that could happen? Every white person's always survived a horror film. No, you do that. This is going to sound nice. Like, you do that and you bring, like, a black person.
Oh, my God.
Because they would...
If you're in a horror movie.
They would probably
That's
die
how you're
first. Or, actually, they would probably be like, you're all fucking crazy, and they would leave.
They would know.
Because black people are
They would
smart.
know about
Yes. Yeah.
Because they're so much smarter than us.
So much in horror movies, they're so much smarter. Yes. They die first, or they just go, I'm out of here.
White
people are crazy.
So the thing is, like, I don't believe in ghosts and spirits and demons and stuff. So I would be like, yeah, I'll check it out.
Even
fine with
that.
After
the Evil Dead just
even though
Yeah.
this like, I don't believe in them because I probably am a little demon to some people. So I'm like, I'm not that bad, right? Like, they can't get worse than this. I love doing this sort of stuff. We did a Ouija board on a camping trip and stuff, and like, I'm all for it. I'm
Did
like,
anything happen?
No.
Have you ever had...
Okay. I got an interesting story,
The closest thing for me was we did a night walk down at Port Arthur.
Yeah.
And it was random. We weren't meant to be staying there, but it kind of got to the end, and we were like, well, we may as well do that. It was a full moon that night.
Oh, very nice.
And they walk you around the sort of little town where they would lived, and you go in a few houses, but then you go into the prison and you go into the bottom, and then they get you in a solitary cell. And they close the door and turn the light off, and the feeling I got in there, I think it like you look back and it's like, well, that was a bit of claustrophobia and
the fact that you're just like, I'm in a prison.
Yeah, but it fully immersed in dark, didn't know where, and I just like, you felt kind of this weight, and I just wanted to get out.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
But generally, I'm not.
But you didn't like experience anything?
No, I haven't seen anything or no.
Okay. Yeah. I had a sleep paralysis dream once. And the dream was interesting because I was at my mum's old house and me and my brother were in the dream, and we were in our my old bedroom and it was completely empty, and we were both standing there going like, something's weird about this room. Something doesn't feel right. And in the most stereotypical horror film way, a Mexican lady comes in with the cross and starts doing that Spiritus Sancti, like starts like blessing the room. And we were like, this is fucking weird. And then I turned around and there was a big black demonic figure in front of me that grabbed my arm, and in the dream I could feel something pulsing up my arm into my chest. I woke up and had sleep paralysis, so I couldn't move.
Oh no.
I didn't see anything when I woke up, but I was like, probably for a solid 60 seconds, I was like, I'm trying to like move your arm. And I was like, oh, I can't. I was like, I can't move my arm.
Wow.
I still don't believe in anything, but I was just like, that was creepy.
Yeah. Have you ever had that like again?
No, never again. Huh. Never again. And and then I was like, as soon as I can move again, I was like, oh, thank God, straight back to sleep. And you guys know the stories of this. We at a friend of ours, or a close friend of mine, a friend of ours by association, Braden, I'll just name him, who gives a fuck, lives across the road from...
Like, he's dead now.
He lives across the road from a cemetery. And I have a hankering of when I've had a couple of drinks, I'm like, let's have...
And we've both been around Nick after a few drinks.
So, for context, Braden and Rhiannon, who are best friends, they both believe in spirits and stuff, right? And he believes that there has been spirits in his house, especially because he lives across from a cemetery. And me being like the stubborn man I am, I'm like, they're not fucking real. And I'll go walk into the cemetery and I'll be like, if there's any spirits here, show yourselves to us right now. And I'll walk around. I'll be like, if you're here, I was like, I just want to say, hey, like I'm not gonna, and nothing's happened. I've done it probably about 6 times.
Well, they're probably all thinking like, this guy's taking the piss out of us.
Fucking dickhead.
This guy's drunk.
So I don't get like, you know how some people are like scared to walk through cemeteries. I'm just like, no. I'm respectful. It's like I don't defile anything, but I'm literally walking there with the intention of hoping. I don't want people to get the wrong impression of me. I walk in there hoping to get results, and nothing happens. So demons aren't real, except for me.
Except for with Ash.
Except with Ash. Except in Evil Dead, where they're totally real. So as soon as they read out the 3 words you need to say to resurrect fucking demons, a tree branch flies through the window and scares the shit out of everyone, causing Cheryl to run outside. She's like, I'm fucking over this.
Classic Cheryl.
Smart, classic Cheryl.
That's a cool shot, that.
That is a great shot with the tree comes through the window, yeah.
I saw that they, because it was so budget, they literally put a stick in front of the camera. And just, so as it comes in, that's how it breaks.
That's pretty fucking cool, actually. That's very cool.
It's cool, like, to look at, like, to really look at it as from the technical point of view and go, all right, the amount of things that they would have had to done physically to get these sort of shots.
It's pretty damn cool. When Cheryl runs outside, we get the now quite infamous scene of which the demon trees come to life. And
the series loves this.
Yes. Can't get rid of it. And in no other way to explain it, Cheryl is ultimately raped by a tree.
Yeah. This is the sort of thing where you can see like, oh, I see why this was banned.
Yes.
Because
true.
Like if someone's reading that being like, you can imagine of like a sensor going, I'm sorry, the tree is
doing what now?
The tree's raping this girl.
You're like,
let's It's like, is there anything else? Can we do anything else?
Can we get the tree to just like smack her, maybe? Like that's, you know what I mean? Like when you're talking about the lesser of two evils, you're like, but that happens. And that's when they decide to try and call time on their time.
I love it. Up to this point, they're just like, well, everything's kind of been a bit weird, but
it's like it's not.
No one's been raped by a tree.
It's not the demon that took my hand and wrote. It's not the clock stopping. It's not the tree crashing through. But they get in the car, and the car's broken down. Of course. They get it started, and they get to the bridge. The bridge is broken. Of course. So they're like, what can we do? Let's listen to the rest of the tape. Just in case.
Yeah, like at that point, that's when I'd be like, I don't care where we are or how far it's going to, or how long it's going to take. I am running.
I'm going. I'm
running.
Yeah. They got to, just go down the ravine, cross the little bridge of water, and then climb up the ravine. It's not that fucking hard. Ask the trees to help you out.
Spirits won't get across.
Get the trees to pick you up.
You drove there on a road, which means you're able to walk the road back.
Yeah.
But they cross the bridge.
Yeah, they break the bridge
and then the
way.
bridge breaks.
I'm trying to help out Cheryl.
You too. Poor Cheryl. So Ash listens to the rest of the tape, and it's discovered that the only way you can kill the spirit is by dismembering its host.
Yep.
So then you automatically go, fuck yeah, we're going to see some brutal violence. Because I don't know about you guys with horror films, but when I watch horror, I love it when people die. Why else are you watching the horror film? I'm here to see the people get dismembered.
No, I mean...
Yeah.
unless it's sort of, like more, I guess, like a psychological horror or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But when it's about a group
of
people, you're just like, I want at least 80% of you to die.
I think that's a completely reasonable request.
I mean, I don't. There are some characters that you're just like, I can't wait till you fucking die. And then there are other ones that you're like, oh, you're probably going to die and I don't want you to.
I'm trying to think if there's any characters I know. Anyway.
In the Evil Dead series or
no, just in general, actually, to be honest, yeah.
There's heaps of characters that you don't want to die that do.
Like?
I didn't want to see Dewey die in Scream. He died.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace, old fella. So disrespectful to Dewey.
Rest in peace, old fella.
You're one of the good ones, mate. So we find out you got to dismember, and then Cheryl's come back at this point, but she's like detached from the group. She's staring out the window. She's got the horror movie stare going on.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, she's gone through an experience.
She's just,
and they're playing
by a tree.
They're playing everyone's fucking hell. They're playing everyone's favorite card game. Guess what the card is?
I was like, Uno.
Everyone's favorite card game. I'm holding a card and you have to guess what it is. And Cheryl's getting every single one correct.
Cheryl's
got the shine and
Cheryl's got that third eye.
She's got this.
The tree knew it.
I was trying to stay away from that joke so much.
Sorry. There's always got to be one.
And then there's a great little jump scare where Cheryl turns around and she's got the demon makeup on, the white contacts and the blue paint, and Cheryl's possessed and she starts shouting out card numbers and suits, which obviously is terrifying.
Like when you talk about it, it's like this isn't scary, but then when you watch it, you're just like, it's
seven of diamonds.
It is funny, but if you were in that situation, you'd be like, I'm creeped the fuck out.
Oh yeah.
But when you're watching it, you're just like, oh, this is she's just Cheryl.
Cheryl's a little drunk,
but Cheryl falls to the ground and then she stabs someone in the foot with a pencil, like right in the ankle.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my god! And then they beat her head in or something like that. Beat her head in, and she's down. And there's another jump scare. I will give this to the Evil Dead as well. The jump scares were pretty good. In fairness, they're just like loud sounds, someone going, but I was watching it on my TV and I was like, ooh, so, which is my reaction to this. Ooh. Scare me. Ooh. Scaring.
You're like, oh, I hope I don't get scared. Ooh.
Getting scared is my kink. And the best part is, when she reawakens, Scotty just boots her in the head and kicks her into the basement. Scotty goes for the absolute conversion of a lifetime and boots her into the basement. Oh my days.
But you know what? You look at it and just go, it'd be like, look, we all wanted to do it. Scotty executed it.
Scotty,
because I'm sick of this bitch.
Scotty knew. Scotty knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the great shot of Cheryl.
Scotty doesn't know? No. Scotty does know.
Scotty does know. And that's when we get the great shot of Cheryl trying to reemerge from the basement with the little dummy.
Yeah.
Trying to get everyone. Now, while this is happening, the stabbing has apparently allowed Shelley to become possessed too.
Yes.
Because that's just how these things are transferred. Blood diseases is how these things are transferred. Is it an allegory?
Oh, fuck.
Hey, it's the 1980s. Political cinema was at its fucking peak. Something else was at its peak too. Anyway.
You know what? Now what I've said doesn't seem as You're like, go on, Nick. Tell us what it was an allegory for. Who were the kind of people that were dying in the 1980s of blood? Come on, say it.
Anyone... Anyway, so Shelley...
Moving on.
Shelley's possessed. There's a big tension build up before she attacks Scotty. And we get... I've written the severed and chews hand. That's right. Bites the hand.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And begins chewing on the hand. And then Shelley gets stabbed with the dagger. That apparently can defeat the demons.
yeah,
You remember the
Yes, I do.
Sumerian dagger?
Yeah.
So there's lots of lore that this movie just seems to add in as it wants to. It's like, oh, that's the dagger that can kill people now, which is fine. But when she gets stabbed, it is the most horrifying scream. Like the way that the editing, like Sam Raimi's editing, has distorted the voice.
Yeah.
Is actually quite terrifying. And I think it adds to this movie on a way more disturbing level than people remember. I genuinely think out of the four, this is the most disturbing. Not necessarily the most violent and scariest, I would say disturbing. Interesting. All right, I'll sit here on my own fucking porch.
Yeah, I mean, it is out of the trilogy.
Yeah, okay.
for sure.
All right.
I agree with that. Out of the trilogy, yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Out of the four, no.
I'm saying tonally, though. No. Because obviously the next two go real campy and more comedy.
I think it's just because essentially the fourth Evil Dead
is so dark.
But it kind of acts as a sequel and it kind of acts as a remake.
Yeah, true.
So everything that was disturbing about the original,
Yeah.
the remake, the fourth one, Evil Dead, like amps it up. Whereas, so I think what was effective and disturbing in the first one is actually more effective and more disturbing in the fourth one.
Okay, fair
yeah.
enough. Do you think there's a distinguishing factor between darker and disturbing, or do you think they're pretty synonymous with each other? Dark and disturbing. Because I would say 2013 is darker, but I don't know if I was more disturbed. Like, I just felt more disturbed by the tone of The Evil Dead. But I can be out here by myself doing that. That's fine. I'll sit out here,
I think the fourth one is more disturbing. Just because, but I also think that might be to do with the technological advances of some stuff as well.
Yeah,
totally.
I mean, I rewatched that fourth one yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm still
It's
reeling a bit. It's pretty full on.
It's pretty full on.
Well, I'm excited to talk about that one.
Yeah.
And because there's not long to go in this Evil Dead, because they ramp it up even more to the end. Linda gets possessed, and there's like the great little, I guess you wouldn't call it stop motion, but like the blood vessels on her foot, the way they do like the different shot. You know what I mean? How they do that's pretty cool. Scotty is attacked by a tree. Trees just fucking have it out for these people in this movie, and he's bloodied and he's like dying. Linda starts doing that creepy little schoolgirl gig, like,
oh yeah,
so annoying.
Which I feel like the second one really were like, hey, what was annoying about the first one? Let's make this second
one even more annoying. And then the demons show their full power by tricking Ash, by making the girls appear normal then. Like, Ash, please don't hurt us. We're not, when we weren't ourselves. And Ash is like, fuck this.
I do like that Ash is like, he's so, no. I know what I've seen.
Yeah. It's
like I don't give a fuck that you're now back to normal.
You're not getting out of it this easy.
Like, I like that he at no point does he ever sort of just go, and like like I like, and like throughout all the films, he's just like, if it looks fucking weird, it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
If your friend's possessed, they're no longer your friend.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cheryl bursts through the floorboards again. That jump scare got me. Maybe I was just on edge yesterday or the other day when I watched this.
Yeah, it seems like everything would be like, this jump scare's got me. So the whole movie, I imagine you just sitting there just going,
ooh, hello. Let's just play that bit again.
This is disturbing.
And I like it.
pass me the Vaseline.
Ash. Can't come up my back door, so that's a little in joke.
Like, can you come up your own?
Yeah. I've been up that back door many times. Ash drags Linda outside and he realizes that obviously because she's possessed and because he listened to the tape about dismembering, he goes to use a chainsaw to chop her up and he can't do it. So he's like, the next best thing,
Hey.
I'll just bury her alive.
I was like, hey, is that an allegory for performance problems? Takes out his fucking chainsaw. He's like, I just can't do it.
Can't
Like,
get my
you
chainsaw
fucking
going.
pussy.
Normally, Linda gets my chainsaw going.
Normally, I'd fucking rip this bitch.
I can tear her in two just like this chainsaw. No, but he buries her.
tree.
Well, that's fucking hell. Oh, God. She buries her alive. And then guess what? I
What,
wrote in my
Nick?
notes. Another goddamn jump scare. Linda grabs Ash's hand through the dirt. And then he just starts beating her up with timber, which I think is worse than the chainsaw. I was like, the chainsaw makes it quick. You're just beating her head in with a bit of timber now. Here's the thing. I grew up
chainsaw would make it quick.
I grew up in the age of live leak, right? And videos getting sent around that, are controversial for the internet. I was a teenage boy. We watched them all. I've seen what the Mexican cartel can do with a chainsaw. Way more effective than a piece of timber. Just my 2 cents. That's real life experience.
That was so much to unpack. Now.
I'm just saying the timber was
I love the way that you
brutal.
said. I love the way that you said that. It implied that we've never been teenage boys. Like, look, I was a teenage boy. All right, you guys just came out fully formed.
That's what happened back
Life
then, isn't
didn't
it?
exist before me.
Yeah,
No,
right,
absolutely.
yeah.
No,
So
God,
you
no.
fucking 90s kids.
So he beats Linda to death with some timber and then chops her head off with the shovel.
Yeah.
And that's great. That
That
shot of
is-
the head
that's-
coming
that's
off
great.
the just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fountain of blood.
That we can all agree on.
I agree with you.
Linda.
Poor Linda. Cheryl escapes from the basement. Ash is running around the
And you
house
feel like
with
at
the
this point, you're
shotgun.
like, oh, can you? This is when you just go, Cheryl, you should be dead. like
Cheryl's-
I want you to die.
Cheryl's a survivor at this point.
Yeah.
She's got that dog in her.
Yeah. Oh yes, that infamous deleted scene where
the dog. But I actually love the way Sam Raimi and how unhinged and frantic he shoots the basement stuff.
Yeah.
Every time there's a noise, the camera just flies into it or flies up into Ash's face. Like, I like how crazy
it was like that everything by the kitchen sink sort of mentality of look, I'm just gonna go because it almost feels like it was like he shot this film almost like I don't know if I'll ever make another film again.
Totally, yeah.
Like who knows what my career
So I'm
is
gonna
going to
throw
be. So I'm just
everything
going
at
to
the
do
wall.
everything possible. Yeah.
Totally. We get that mirror shot, which obviously is water. But like I'm like, he got it still enough to get a reflection and put his hand in. So I was like,
great,
that's pretty great. Just so the demons are fucking with Ash a little bit more. Cheryl emerges and gets shotgun blasted in the face, puts her out of her misery. Rest in peace, Cheryl.
And puts us out of ours.
Yes.
But very, very much so. But if that wasn't it, Scotty reanimates at this point. Scotty comes back. Do we remember fucking Scotty? And he gets his eyes gouged out by Ash. So Ash at this point has gone from, I'm going to tactically listen to the tape and think about how to kill to, I'm just the guy who shotguns and eye gouges people now.
Yeah.
But he's getting beaten up with the fire poker. Oh, and the shot that I love is the blood gushing out of Scotty's stomach when he gets stabbed in there, and then the fountain of blood. Like, there is so much comical use of blood in this series. It's fantastic.
I'd like those would be the kind of films I'd love to be on for, just to be like, oh, someone's about to get covered in like blood. Yes. And then just like more.
And then Ash is getting beaten with the fire poker. He's trying to get the Book of the Dead with the necklace, Linda's necklace, which is actually a lot more significant to the franchise later on than I remembered. And I'm excited to watch Evil Dead Rise again because I didn't notice the necklace. I didn't pick it up at any point, so I don't remember. So it'll be interesting to see if it pops up there. He gets the book, throws it into the fire. All the Deadites die when the book goes in the fire, and there's that disintegration, that sort of like stop motion puppety stuff. What I would assume is like mashed potatoes and mushy pea soup, so it sort of comes out of their body, and it looks kind of great.
Oh, the amount of times that you hear that like mashed potatoes and stuff is used as or like sausages. And they fill a lot of things with condoms.
Yes.
Oh. No, they fill condoms with a lot of things. Sorry.
So when I was like
slightly different.
Only that tree was wearing one. So when I was a kid making films, we would do that. Like for action movies, we would fill a condom with fake blood, tape it to someone. You'd get a little nut and bolt sort of thing. The nut from the nut and bolt. Tie fishing line to, I had 50-50 shot there and I fucked it up. You tie fishing line to it and you would get someone stand behind the camera and you'd shoot and go bang and it would go, and it looked fucking awesome. It looked really cool.
Was it awkward like buying? Was it?
Yeah, because I was like 13 and I
always found that quite
buying like 100 condoms.
But I always found
and the blood was red food dye and chocolate sauce. So I'm putting red food dye, chocolate sauce, condoms, and fishing line onto the thing, and I'm like, this is normal.
But I always found it amusing. Like it's something that happens in films a fair bit, where like they're embarrassed to buy condoms.
Yes,
and I would look at it as be like. No, I was like, you're promoting safe sex.
But it's always like high school movies though. Like it was always awkward at high school.
But it's weird to be like, to think of it as like, you're a high school kid and you're buying condoms.
That's fucking awesome. Good for you.
Good for you. Like it's weird that there was this whole thing of
just that Hollywood agenda, Pete. Because we all know Hollywood's run by the Catholics and they hate contraception. They want babies, babies, babies.
And I actually won't make a comment on that because my comment was going to be very...
I think we've reached our quota of how far we can push stuff today. No. They disintegrate and then the big-ass demon hands emerge out of the body, but they, obviously crumble and die as well because the Book of Dead's in the fire. Ash walks outside, and then we get the final point of view demon shot. That I love this shot that goes through the cabin. The way the doors slam open, Ash turns around screaming. Cut to black. The Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Now, I will say this before we talk about the other two.
Right.
This is my favorite out of the three. I know that is a not controversial, but probably more divisive opinion. I know a lot of people love the next movie we're about to talk about. But I think this is my favorite out of the original trilogy.
I'm the same. Yeah, right. This is actually my favorite. Yeah.
Are we about to talk about your favorite in the trilogy?
That's actually my least favorite in the trilogy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You still enjoy but I think
I still enjoyed it for sure. I even though we loved Bruce Campbell in it and stuff, like the acting got to me a bit.
Right.
Yeah, fair.
So into the second when they're a lot more comfortable about it all. And
that's fair.
And I actually they really lent into the humour. But yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They absolutely do.
Yeah. And I think I kind of, when I was a kid, I had the Army of Darkness poster on my wall. But I don't think I'd seen the Evil Dead films. I think I'd just
seen Army of Darkness.
Well, because Army of Darkness was also the one that was the rating was lower. Like it was M here. The other two were R.
Okay.
It was. When you watch it, it's not as horrific. So I think it was probably it was one of those movies where as kids you could be like, oh, let's get the Army of Darkness, because it's an Evil Dead movie. Yeah.
Well, then we move on to the Evil Dead 2, not the Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, which came out in 1987. So it was a couple of years after even the wide release of Evil Dead. But the Evil Dead had already had its cult following by this point. Like it had a reputation as a disturbing, like I said, banned in many countries horror film. Yeah. So this was a highly anticipated sequel. Critics score 88%, audience score 89%. This is the highest rated Evil Dead film in the original trilogy. And like we alluded to, it is probably the most beloved out of all of them because what it does two things. Focuses on more of a comedy horror tone. So it's a lot more wacky and absurd than The Evil Dead. But it also kind of writes off The Evil Dead. It kind of rewrites or it retcons the first movie.
It almost like if you
hadn't seen The
Evil Dead, you could watch this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's kind of weird how when it opens and Ash is...
Do you know why?
No.
No.
I want to know though.
This
is why he's the expert.
Sam Raimi, they wouldn't give him the rights to the film.
To
New Line Cinema. Would not give him the rights to do a sequel.
Right.
So
he just shopped it somewhere else and went.
Yeah.
Is that why they took that off?
Yep. And that's why they do that weird recap at the start with different actors.
Yeah. Which they do in the third one as well.
Because the second movie, it's just him and Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so...
it's like it's weird because they go to the cabin and he's not acting weird about it. Like it's kind of like, oh wow, you've really just
disconnected from
it. And then this one, talk about not wasting any fucking time.
Yeah. No.
This one literally feels like it's like been 30 seconds and all of a sudden shit just starts happening.
Well, I saw an interview with Bruce Campbell about that.
Right. Yeah.
Some people think it's a sequel. Some people think it's a remake.
Yeah.
So he said if you want to watch it properly, finish the first film.
Yeah.
Skip that first recap bit, and then where he's hurtling through the forest.
That's
where it picks up again, and then that's a sequel.
Yeah.
Which is so he doesn't go back to the cabin, which it kind of alludes to.
It picks up straight away, ultimately.
Yeah.
Because we get a voiceover about the Book of the Dead and how it's like the passageway to evil worlds. It resurrects demons, so it sets up the Book of the Dead. It just gives you that quick little. You will encounter this in the movie. We did a whole movie setting it up, but you just need to know this.
Yeah.
And then it's Ash and Linda at the cabin. We get a very obvious close-up shot of the necklace. So that's when I started going like, oh, this is this a recap? But I'm like, no, it's like a reimagining. Like, so it's retconning it all. But this is the first time we also see where we get a bit more of that quirky Ash.
Yeah.
Especially just in that bit alone. Just the way he talks to her. The bravado.
He's a lot more confident in this film.
Yes.
And then I'm going to bring out the first thing. Fuck, I'd let Bruce Campbell
go to He's a good-looking fella.
He's a great-looking guy.
He's really hot.
He's got a great facial structure. He's got a good head of hair.
Jawline.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like even when I was watching this second one, I was like, he could have been a Bond or he's really...
He's got the charisma
for
it.
That's the thing. Because I've never thought of Bruce Campbell in that regard, and I just was watching it and I'm like,
all right,
let him go there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be like, all right.
You can be my tree.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I will get in the forest. And you can...
Ooh, I hope there's no Bruce Campbell trees here.
Please don't wreck my inside, Bruce Campbell.
I've been so naughty. Ooh.
I'll read your Book of the Dead.
The only thing that this recap, I guess, for lack of a better word, does is we get to see footage of the professor finding the Book of the Dead, recording his tapes, seeing like how the Book of the Dead works and whatnot. All the same things happen. Linda gets possessed, gets decapitated again, and then that's where the scene happens. The shot of the demon going through the house, runs into Ash and launches him across the forest, like picks him up and hurdles him through the sky. And that's, like I said, we're pretty much Evil Dead 2 starts.
Yes.
Yeah. It would have been kind of cool if at that point, that's when the title hit. Like, that would have been kind of cool.
True.
Yeah,
Evil Dead 2 True.
That's when the title hits and you just go,
point.
oh, okay. And
Yes.
And it possesses him. Ash gets possessed. Yeah. And the makeup on him was awesome. That was very cool. Yeah. Very 1980s.
This is where you see, I'm trying to think of his name, the guy that, is it Tom Savini?
Yes. Tom Savini, the prosthetics guy. Yeah. This film reminds me of kind of everything that he goes on to. Like, especially, like, I'm just thinking immediately, like, From Dusk Till Dawn. Oh, yeah, like, totally.
That's
what I was just thinking about. Yeah, it gave me a real...
Tom
Savini.
Because it is very... it's really...
It just, it just makes me go, okay, that's your... Yeah. Surely he did it for this, right?
He did not.
He didn't?
No, but someone who did...
Greg Nicotero
who's very, and Robert Kurtzman. They're very, they're still today.
They're still
very much in prosthetics makeup.
Yeah.
Greg Nicotero actually went on. He started as the makeup supervisor for The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Ended up like doing episodes for it and stuff. So,
but it just, Tom Savini, like I imagine anybody that loves horror and gets into horror looks at Sam Raimi and the Evil Dead films as some kind of like inspiration in some way.
Totally.
So watching this, I was like, I can see where
this group
and that was that was like the first person in the first film that came to mind when just they're all there with the mouth, like everything.
I'll quickly say as well for the synopsis for the film. The lone survivor of an onslaught of flesh-possessing spirits holes up in a cabin with a group of strangers while the demons continue their attack.
There is that other group. That
which
not remotely memorable.
Which we'll talk about as to why I don't like this film as much as the first one. So Ash is possessed, but the sunlight brings him back to normal. So we find out that they're nocturnal demons, and they only come out at night.
Mostly.
So the bridge is still destroyed because Ash goes to run away and he's like, "Oh shit, that's right, I forgot."
Yeah,
the bridge is destroyed again.
At least there's good continuity there.
That's true.
They retcon some stuff. You're like, nah, that fucking bridge is still broken though.
And then he runs back to the cabin and the demon starts chasing him through the cabin and whatnot. And that's when we cut to these new arrivals. There's 4 people who have various names. I'm pretty sure. I think one of them's Ed. Oh, Bobby Joe. Is one of them.
Cheryl.
Yeah, and Jake. There we go. I did write their names down. But we find out, and I can't remember who's who. We find out that one of them is the daughter of the professor who is trying to find out more about what her dad was studying, and they find out that the book is at a cabin. So they've flown in. They're going to go to this cabin and find out more. We then cut back to the cabin where we get the first real instance of this is leaning more in the comedy than the horror, with the large reanimated Linda who dances in the woods.
Once that happened, I was just like, it's a different film.
I loved it.
Okay.
I guess that's where it could take either, but I loved it. I was like,
because as I was watching it, and I should say, this was the first time I'd seen Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. I'd watched Evil Dead multiple times, but I'd never seen Evil Dead 2. And I was aware that people loved it more, and I was aware that it goes in a more comedic route. But when I watched that, I was like, oh yeah, I get it. I get why people love it, but it's like, it didn't 100% work for me. But I was like, it's quirky and it's wacky and I'm having fun with it.
I think I'm the same. It's not that I dislike this film.
No, because I actually really liked it.
I really liked it, but I think it leaned too much into comedy for me. And I love when things go like that shit insane.
Oh, totally.
But I was just a little bit I never felt like, to me, this never felt scary.
No, I agree.
No. I was never
that's what I was saying. That out of the at least out of the 3, the first one is most.
Out of the 3, absolutely.
For sure.
I had a lot of fun with this.
I still have fun with it, but I was watching it going, there's just no, I didn't feel any stakes for it because I was just like, I don't care about this new group. I'm happy to see all of them die. And then I think because that we're getting a third, we're like, well, we know that Ash is somehow going to get out of it. I don't know. It just,
I will still say, even though knowing where the third film goes, I could imagine watching that movie for the first time being like, this is how you end it. Wild. But I think that tone and the reason it's so likable, I would say a solid 80% real maths is Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
When he's reacting to the dancing, and it's just like
it's like Jim Carrey, isn't it? It's really
and it's pretty much almost just I'm going to give the face that I imagine every audience member will be watching this movie just going, what?
What the fuck is going on?
What? And then from a technical aspect, for those effects in the 1980s, again, on a very small budget,
totally.
It's incredible.
Unbelievably good. Yeah. Unbelievably good. And then he's reacting to that. He's so committed to the role. He gets stuck in the chair and Linda's head rolls in and bites him on the hand. So then he chainsaws her head
He loves the chainsaw.
He does.
Chainsaw.
Loves a good
He
chainsaw.
does.
Well, he figured out what didn't work in the first movie was not using a chainsaw.
He was like,
Took a special blue pill and now his chainsaw.
I want to
works.
get my chainsaw up. this
I would
time.
have loved a shot if he like was on the ground and there was like chainsaw and like the wood and he was like,
But I love when he chainsaws the head and the blood splatters onto the light
blood
bulb
is-
and the red cue in the
Yes.
room. Like, it's
Yeah.
fucking cool.
Yeah,
like, it's
yeah.
really fucking
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But then we get another mirror scene where his reflection
Yeah.
talks back to him. So we know not only is Ash possessed, but his hand is also possessed now. And the mirror talks back to him, and Ash goes like, that doesn't seem fine. Like, that's not okay.
like this is kind of where like you imagine this is where people started to really like become fans of
yeah.
Ash.
Oh,
the way like because it's like in the first movie
Totally.
is he's like I mean he's the hero but he's this is like all right and like this is where we get the first this is where we get groovy.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
like
totally, yeah,
like
yeah.
you imagine this is the film that everyone just goes, this is the Ash
Yeah.
that we
That we
yeah.
love.
Yeah, he's there to kick ass.
Yeah.
And then his hand's possessed. His hand is trying to kill him.
Such LSD sort of.
Oh, 100%. Like, how did you come up with this shit,
Yeah.
Sam Raimi?
And then it just makes me realize how much have either of you seen Idle Hands?
no.
Okay.
What is this?
So Idle Hands came out in about 1998, 99. Devon Sauer, Jessica Alba, Seth Green. His hand gets possessed by a serial killer.
Oh,
and he
my
kills
God.
his friends and he chops his hand off and the whole movie is him getting chased by
I've
his hand.
seen that a long time
It's
ago.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to now rewatch that.
Yeah, I want to rewatch
I
it
just
too.
ordered this on Blu-ray.
Oh, well, we're coming to your house to watch it.
And I got the European version called Die Killer Hand.
Okay.
Oh, I saw you put that up. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's on any. I don't know if it's on any streaming services.
You can rent it.
You can rent it. Just wait till I get them. Come
Yeah,
on.
we're absolutely watching
it's,
that movie.
It's fun. It just reminded me
Let's go.
because it's
Yeah.
the hand, and it just reminded me. And that movie's very leans into the comedy and like
Campy comedy, the
like quite
wackety.
and quite like graphic violence,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
just
fuck yeah.
but just ridiculous. So
I've never heard of
yeah.
it. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Add it to the list. So
pivot
speaking
back
of
to
hands,
Evil Dead.
well, it's a fantastic segue because his hand starts beating him up, tries to reach for a meat cleaver to kill him, which is fantastic. So then he's a chainsaw addict. Ash is like, well, time to say goodbye to the hand,
yep.
and chainsaws his hand off.
And then I love the fact that it's just like, oh, and this chainsaw will just magically fit.
This
on his hands.
yeah, right. But then also, the hand starts taunting him. The hand is like making sounds like, and I'm just like, this is wild.
Yeah, because then you want to sit back and just be like, that mouth doesn't have a hand. That hand doesn't have a mouth. It can't make those noises.
So all this absurdity's happening. There's blood everywhere. There's chainsaws. There's a taunting hand. There's Ash screaming and yelling. What a perfect time then for these new arrivals to rock up to their cabin who crash tackle Ash. And they're like, you're a fucking psychopath. Like, what's going on?
To be fair, if you walk into a place, you'd be like, there's a dude with a chainsaw hand and he's trying to
drugs.
So let's just blanket him.
Totally justified.
What I think
Totally
would have
justified.
been like to introduce this new group, I almost think what would have been better is like if you had initially had the film around them,
Yes.
trying to find, and then they
Totally.
go to the cabin, and then that's where
Yeah.
Ash is like already there. So it's almost like you don't need to retcon
Yep.
The rest
first
of the movie,
He just-
totally.
I feel like that could have been a way to.
Oh, totally.
But you know,
And they restrain Ash and they find the tape recorder and they play it. And there's a revelation that there's a dead body in the cellar and it's the body of the professor's wife who was possessed by the demon and murdered. So they put Ash in the cellar to find the dead wife. And you know what? This movie wastes no time. He doesn't have to look for long because the wife reveals herself possessed, alive and demonic.
well, I mean, if you were a group and you were all alive and human, and then you just go, "You've got a chainsaw hand."
We're gonna. You can go down.
go down to this
You can go
one.
down.
Yeah.
And then the possessed mum, we get like the throwback to how Cheryl was like poking her head through the basement. The mum pokes her head through and starts singing to her daughter.
Oh, That was creepy. Like funny, but also like nursery rhyme. When someone sings a nursery rhyme,
so
in
creepy.
any situation that's not singing it to a baby, you're like, this is weird.
And then Ed gets possessed and kills straight away. Like that was very much a throwaway character.
It's almost like one of those things like behind the scenes where they just go, I fucking hate this actor. Yeah.
So we've rewritten the scene. You're getting possessed and killed.
But I was meant to be. Doesn't matter. You're dying.
It's for the story.
Well, if it's for the story.
But then Ash's demonic hand comes up and holds Bobby Jones' hand. And she's like, oh, and then she looks out and screams.
I mean, because as he said, being like, because isn't it the line like something about I'll hold your hand, and she says you already are or something?
Yeah, that's like, right. Yeah. And she's running away. Then she runs outside because that's the best. After the last movie, we know that's a great thing to do.
Yep.
And what do you know? There's more fucking demonic trees out there who attack Bobby Joe.
Yeah, as we said, the tree's like, I'm not fucking finished yet.
No, they have a thirst for blood.
Recharged and ready to go. Roots up.
The one thing I didn't mention about these new arrivals is that they also have missing pages of the Book of the Dead that they have to restore to the book. Jake is over at this point. This hillbilly, for lack of a better word, dude, Jake, is kind of like, this is fucked. Throws the pages into the cellar. He's like, we're done with this. This is not happening.
And that's probably what you would do.
Yeah,
you'd probably be like,
reasonable.
I'm not going to staple these pages back to like, fuck this shit.
But then it goes to nighttime now, which means Possessed Ash comes out. So not only do we have Possessed Ash hand, but we got Possessed Ash as well. Pardon me. So it becomes a fight for Ash versus the non-possessed people, which is kind of a fun throw on it.
Yeah.
Like, I like the fact that we get to see what an evil Ash could do because he's so prolific and with the chainsaw and what he can do to kill as a normal human. What can he do as a demon? As the odd demons. Jake is accidentally stabbed by Annie, who's freaking out because obviously Jake he loves the old boo, like, and gets stabbed. And then because Jake is stabbed and falls down, the old lady whose name is Henrietta, 1980s.
Classic old lady name.
Pulls Jake into the cellar. And then the blood absolutely piss rockets out. It's
almost to the point where you'd be like, I don't know if a body has that much blood in it.
Does not.
No.
Oh my God.
But it's great.
Yeah.
This is then, which is, I love how fucking over the top the blood is, but Linda's necklace falls into the shape of a skull. And I noticed it did that in this movie and the first movie. But the necklace brings Ash back to normal. So now there's some sort of power within the necklace that I don't understand, but I don't think it's ever explained. Unless it's explained in Army of Darkness and I got to read through my notes, but I don't fully remember. But somehow this necklace brings Ash back to normal. But Annie doesn't realize it and she's swinging an axe at Ash, Ash is then like, obviously understandable for Annie, but Ash is like, what the hell are you doing? Like, he's upset. Well, I guess rightfully so. You get an axe swung at you. And then they decide, she realizes it's Ash and she goes, okay, now it's time to kill these possessed people. Chainsaw on the arm, saws off the bit of the shotgun, and we get the iconic groovy. And it's such a cool shot. It's so fucking fun and so cool. And I like how they use the harness for the shotgun and to hold the chainsaw on. Like, it's a cool setup.
It's also, I think it's around this point where, as we're talking about, you said you knew that like it was like the doll head.
Yeah.
It's around this time where there's
it's Henry. We see Henry
when they're swinging, and you can see
that it's
the string
on it. Yeah.
Behind it, and I was like, that is great.
That's so much.
Like you know that they've gone like we need to film this against a dark wall, but you watch it and just go. There's literally I can literally see the wire.
Fishing line.
I can see the wire holding them up, and they do, and it's just those quick shots of like swinging, but you just go. I can see it. It's great, but it just like it really leans into just how
it does, and
I love how much that just went.
Yeah, everyone loving it, laughing and loving it. But that's a testament to the franchise that it's unafraid to show its flaws.
Yeah.
And it adds to the charm.
I don't know if it was like it had a choice to show its flaws.
No, God no.
And but I like that even like they've had the ability to like go back and like remaster it and get rid of things and they're just like, nah, let's leave it.
Because I watched it on the remastered Blu-ray and I saw that. I saw the fishing lights and they were just like, this is a warts and all film. Like you will be watching. It's so well done.
But it's great. Like again, watching these films, realizing where other horror films have gotten the because I was like, obviously the Chainsaw Hand reminded me of Rose McGowan's shotgun leg
Planet Terror.
in Planet Terror.
Yeah.
And then the line about holding your hand, I am holding your hand, reminds me of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh yeah,
Where they're all
totally.
in the thing, and then he's
yeah.
just like, she's like, Carla, just hold my hand. She's like, I am holding your hand.
Yeah.
And they turn the light on all the dead
it's-
bodies. And I was
yeah.
like, fuck, like
Yeah.
Evil Dead and Evil
Yeah,
Dead.
Evil
Dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were,
And then obviously,
formative.
like Cabin in the Woods is like,
Yes.
a genuine
yeah.
riff on that.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Cabin in the Woods.
so good.
So they find the pages that were thrown in from the Book of the Dead. They start the ritual. Henrietta's bloated, gross body comes out. The costume and the makeup of that bloated demon is so good. And then it evolves into this stop motion animated worm head that Ash has to fight. Which it gives me that real old Clash of the Titans. That's what it reminds me. You can see that animation style and the camera they would have used for that, which is awesome. And then Ash is trying to fight it, and then Annie sings to her mum again, which distracts the demon, because dumb demon, stupid demon. Obviously still has a bit of love in there for her daughter, which then just leads to Ash being able to dismember her, cut off the arms, cut off the head, cut off the legs, and then shoot the shotgun her in the head, which creates a literal explosion, which is great. I didn't know there was what is it, bullet powder or something inside her to make her blow up, but it shows how much I know about guns.
It's probably a good thing that you don't know. Be like, well, when I shot my first
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
bitch
They
didn't
did not
stand a chance.
explode.
they did not explode. They dropped the fuck down.
I was like, you're not full of bullet powder?
Oh, and I can't even redo this one because you're already dead.
The demon trees then start destroying the cabin, like genuinely, like apocalyptically destroying the cabin.
Yeah, this movie escalates so
big
much.
time. And Annie's like screaming out the pages from the Book of the Dead. And then Ash's possessed hand stabs her in the back. And I genuinely was like, oh, fuck. I felt so bad for Annie. I didn't like that at all.
There you go. There's a character that you didn't want to die.
There we go. Rest in peace, Annie, old fella. But she's reading these pages. This is apocalyptic events happening outside. And then a portal opens up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And the car gets sucked into the portal. Ash starts getting sucked into the portal.
I love that you can tell that it's like a very small, but like it's like a small car that they've like, we need to make this.
And the tree creature's really grotesque. Like it actually turns into a demon monster, which I thought was pretty damn cool. Annie manages to read the rest of the pages, but she dies from the stab wound. Ash in the car, sucked into the portal. Great shot of the car falling through the sky, crashes, Ash is there, and he gets surrounded by knights. Like, it's knights in armor, and I was like,
What?
imagine watching that in 1987 and being like, what the fuck
And then
is going
also
on?
watching it in 1987, and then when you realize when the third movie came out, you'd be like, oh, we don't even get, it's not even like a case of like, we're filming the second one and we've got the third one.
Totally. No,
this was a case of like,
if it does well.
I'd love to continue this story, but if not, I've just fucked with all
We'll
of it.
just see what happens. And then a dragon deadite, because that's obviously, I should mention, that's what they call the demons and the monsters. These are deadites. Is flying through. Ash uses his shotgun, shoots the demon, and they're all like, oh, he defeated the the deadite. And then that's the end of the fucking movie. It is wild.
That is
Evil Dead
wild.
2 is wild. Now, I totally understand why people love it more than the first one. I think I just have a soft spot for like the amateur style of the first one. Like I said, I find it more distirbing. I think that's what I'm looking for in horror films. But as a horror comedy, Evil Dead 2 is great.
No, I agree.
Great.
It's like as a comedy, it's great. But I'm the same. Like I think because the Evil Dead is more of a horror film.
Yeah, totally.
Like the possibilities of where you could have gone horror wise for the sequel.
God, yeah.
But yeah, I get it. But I'm the same. I'm like,
Was this your favorite one, would you say? Evil Dead 2?
Out of the trilogy is, yeah.
Just a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's Evil Dead for me is that.
Yeah.
Like I think
I get that though.
I am different to you. I think the first one I didn't see till a lot longer after.
right, okay.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
Army of Darkness
We've done
and
the flip,
Evil
yeah.
Dead 2 I'd watched a few times.
Yeah.
Right. So that, So that,
So that was what it was to me.
yeah. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then watching the original, I'm like,
and realizing this is how it started.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things where you watch, if you watch those two, you're like, oh, it's weird that this started out as a horror film.
Horror
and then
film,
if you watch
yeah.
the first one, you're like, it's weird that this went into a comedy direction.
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But then we get Army of Darkness in 1992, so 5 years later. A sardonic hardware store clerk is accidentally transported into 1300 AD, where he must retrieve the Necronomicon and battle an army of the dead so he can return home. So we also find out that Ash is a hardware store salesman.
Yeah, which has never been.
No.
Yeah, but I like when you just go, I like that he had a job. Because
Same.
obviously,
He must have had a job.
he must have. Yeah, you always never think about that in horror films.
do you?
Like, a lot of the time,
What
like,
do they do?
because these horror films usually, they're over like a couple of days, and you're like, they've obviously taken time off work.
Yeah.
Like, what do they do? And then when they die, you just realize some people don't know that they die.
Oh, fuck, I've got to cover that shift now. That's what I would think.
Like it just
Fuck
reminds,
you
like
for
it just
going to that
like
cabin
in
in the
like
woods.
like in Scream, for example, where there's like they always have house parties, and you're just like those parents who are like, go enjoy your party. They're like, they don't know that their kid
That's the last time they're going to see their kids.
gets flattened by a
Thanks for
garage
ruining
door.
every horror film for me ever by making it
like real.
like real.
Think about that from now on.
Yeah.
I wonder what they do.
She's
all bawling
our eyes out of
You're like,
Oh my God.
But like, she'll never live to see 30. She was going to be a mother.
The critics score for Army of Darkness, 69. Hey. And the audience score is 87.
Whoa.
Yeah, much
It's so much higher than I thought it was going to be.
very loved. But I think it has, I think the Evil Dead trilogy, the first trilogy following that, we are making this for the cult audience is the reason that's 87. Like this was a movie made for people who like Evil Dead. This is not like, just like the critics are like, yeah, all right, this is weird. Like fans are like, I expected this.
But also,
this is what I want.
69 is still high.
It is still,
Like it's not like
still
it's
very
like it's not like
positive.
it's like 38%
No,
and
no,
everyone else is
totally.
like 8. It's like 16. I was like, but also again, that's higher than I thought it was going to be.
And you know what? That actually is a good point because all, not to spoil what the score for Evil Dead 2013 is, but they're all positive. Like they're all fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So, but Ash is a slave now in 1300 AD, which is also coincidentally set in the Evil Dead 2, the year that the Book of the Dead was made. I was listening.
yeah.
I didn't say it, but I was listening. And we get a recap from Evil Dead 2 mostly.
Where, interesting enough, Bridget Fonda
Yes.
plays Linda for like 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
And I was
Crazy,
like, and then
isn't
I
it?
was like, Bridget Fonda.
There we go.
I miss
Hey.
Bridget Fonda. I mean, she's not dead. She's just
She's not in movies.
She just retired.
Rest in peace.
I was like,
She does not look like Bridget Fonda anymore. does she?
No. Yeah. But I just was like, bro, like Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
I love Jackie Brown.
The
It's such a good
assassin.
movie.
Oh, she's
Such
so
a good
fucking
movie.
good. Anyway, Lake Placid. Oh, anyway,
I've seen Lake Placid in a long time.
she's
actually.
married to Danny Elfman.
Oh.
So I was like, so that's probably why she's like, I don't need to fucking.
Don't need to work. I'm Danny fucking Elfman.
Yeah,
But he's
she's
a
fucking Danny Elfman.
yeah, both ways. So he's a hardware store worker. We get a recap of the first two movies. But what I found interesting is that they reshot those scenes. Like they was
Yeah,
different.
because
Oh,
Bridget,
yeah.
because Bridget
because
Fonda,
Bridget Fonda's in
didn't
there.
play Linda.
So I was like, oh, they didn't use the footage from
well,
Evil Dead 2.
I mean, I guess maybe it depends if either the actress was like they either went. And I don't know if this was another case of different. I don't know if this was a different studio, so I don't know if they couldn't.
I'm not sure actually.
I know that Sam Raimi
yeah.
was technically, I don't think he was credited as the director.
No, he is.
He is.
He is. Yeah, but
I read somewhere that he filmed it under a different name.
Oh no, he edited it under a different name.
He edited it.
He
Okay.
edited it under a different name. Yeah. No, because I actually read that the other day as well.
okay.
So no, yeah. So there is a different name and it was some crazy name as well. But it is discussed by some of the king's men that Ash is potentially part of a prophecy in the Necronomicon. So that he would
Omricon.
that a man would fall from the sky and defend them from the Deadites. But King Arthur.
It's so fucking weird to be
King
like.
Arthur believes that Ash is a spy for Duke Henry. Well, we know where that story ends. Any history buffs out there? So they they take Ash as a prisoner, as a slave, back to their castle, and they're going to throw him into the pit with a deadite. But just to show the audience what happens beforehand, a knight clumsily falls into the pit.
I love this shot. This is like my
and the
favorite
knight
shot.
falls in, and it's the classic like CGI.
The amount of blood that comes out of that's where you just go, look, I know there was a lot of blood in Evil Dead. I was like, that came from one person. Like it's so much blood. Yeah.
And so that shows the audience what happens. So then Ash is pushed into the pit. And I like to think this is a Star Wars reference from Sam Raimi because it's a mix of the Sarlacc pit, but it's also when the doors come closing and it's a trash compactor from A New Hope. So that's just the nerd in me hoping that is a Star Wars reference.
I feel like it would probably be.
It seems Star Wars.
I mean, I was watching it.
It seems Star Warsy.
I was watching it also being like, there's a little bit of like Monty Python.
Totally.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it really like just the way that all of the soldiers and everything, just the way that they sort of like talk. It's almost just like you're expecting like Terry Chapman or
Graham Chapman to come out. Yeah.
Like, no, he's a very naughty boy. Like that's what I was expecting.
I kind of watch Monty Python. I haven't seen him in so long. The Ash is pushed in and he fights the Deadite, which happens to be like a fucking gymnast, is like flipping around everywhere and shit. And falls onto the chainsaw because the knight throws the chainsaw in, clicks it on, and it manages to kill the Deadite. But then another Deadite emerges, and then he uses his belt to hoist him up in the. It's just you can let so much go. You can suspend so much belief for this film just because it's about a time traveler who goes to defend that. So gets pulled out of the pit, and he walks up to the King Arthur, who pushed him in and went, "Your shoelace is untied." And he looks down. Firstly, I don't think they had shoelaces in 1300 AD.
And I feel like if he said that, he would have just gone, what? Shoelace?
But he looks down and gets absolutely rope-a-doped by Ash, which is great. But they've also captured Duke Henry at this point.
Oh, no.
Said, yeah, I know. As a history buff, that was so worrying. And he uses his shotgun to shoot the sword and release Henry, and he shouts, "This is my boomstick," which is a fucking cool line.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
And Bruce Campbell just sells it so fucking well. He is great. So then he, after defeating the Deadite, displaying his alpha dominance over these technologically depleted knights, he is fed grapes and turkey and wine by all these beautiful women. It is absolutely hilarious.
Like Embeth Davids, who a few minutes before was like, scolding him.
Yeah, Sheila.
And now Sheila. And then, we thought Cheryl was bad. And then now he's like, he actually says that. He's just like, well, a few minutes ago you wanted to kill me and now you want to love me, blah, blah. Their love story also happens very quickly. Like all of a sudden I was just like, oh, you guys are having sex now. Cool.
Super quickly.
Cool.
And Ash is getting treated well, but then there's a old lady Deadite demon in the midst, because obviously that was easy to sneak in there, who turns around and he kills her. He calls her a she-bitch. It's like, you she-bitch.
Yeah. You know what? I think that's a phrase we should bring back.
She-bitch.
Instead of just being you're a bitch, you'd be like, you're a she-bitch.
And he shoots the old lady Deadite, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's the savior. And you find out that the Necronomicon has pages in it for time travel. So he's like, we need to get the Necronomicon, find the pages for the time travel, because all he wants to do is go back. He just wants to go back in time. So they set him up with a new...
Technically, he wants to go forward.
Back to the Future. Hey. Should be a movie.
It should be 3.
Ooh. I'm so glad they haven't remade that. Anyway.
You've put that out there in the world now.
Knock on wood. They give him a new hand, the knight's armor hand. And if you think you're going to travel up my back door, Pete, it's not going to... Knocking on wood's
we
not
all
going to get you
know that it's my back door.
He hooks up with Sheila and
he
says
does.
groovy again, and then the quest for the book begins, because in Evil Dead spirit, wastes no fucking time. We just fly. This is the shortest of the movies. It's 81 minutes. With credits. So I think by the time I stopped it was at like 78 minutes or something.
Yeah, I remember watching, like, I was watching it this morning and was like, I was like, where are we at to? And I was like, whoa, wow, there's 25 minutes left. I was like, and that, I mean, I know we'll get to it. That fucking battle scene is like, feels like it's half the movie.
Yeah, I know. It's a big
so long. Like, I went to the bathroom and came back and was like, you guys are still at this one point.
Still fighting?
I was like, really? All right.
So he's traveling through the woods and he gets chased by a demon. So we get the POV shot again, which is great. And it chases him into a windmill, which is hilarious, I guess.
Windmills don't get used enough in films, I feel like.
I think because they're a lot more, you can't hide in them these days. You know what I mean? Like they're a lot more mechanical and a lot more digital windmills. Well, I'm just trying to give you a reason why we don't use them. If you find a good way to write a windmill into a modern feature, then bully to you.
I never said it had to be modern.
Okay, fair enough.
We could go with a lighthouse instead.
Oh, that's very true. They should make a movie about a lighthouse. And there should be a lot of masturbation in that movie, I think. But he breaks...
But not in a windmill.
He sees his reflection in the mirror.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Sees his reflection in the mirror.
Like flying. Never masturbate into a windmill.
That's just good life advice. He looks into the mirror and because obviously the two previous experiences he's had with mirrors, he's like, fuck this, breaks the mirror, and it creates thousands of little ashes, which is great. It is so funny them running around and terrorizing him. It is so
I will
ridiculous.
say that effects wise looked like I was like, because you know, like a lot of films you can tell when there's like it's the same actor and they've split it. This I was like, this actually looks
it looks really good. And they're throwing tridents at him and they push his face into the...
throwing tridents when really they're forks.
Yeah.
They are forks, but they look like tridents to these guys. They managed to push his face down onto the hot metal that was used for cooking. Yeah. They start singing London Bridge is falling down, which I didn't get, but I was like, that's funny, I guess.
Because a small part of me was like, has that song been invented yet?
Oh, good point, actually, yeah. Well, but it's Ash, though, so that's okay. And he's been in the 1980s.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
we'll let that one go.
But it's obviously such a tormenting song to sing. My note I wrote is what in the Gulliver's Travels is going on here because they try and pin him down, but he manages to escape into the woods where a evil twin is birthed out of him.
Yes.
Which those shots are good as well. The second head that pops out, I was like, this is fucking really good effects for the 90s. For a cheap Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
I'd actually be interested to know how much this movie cost compared. Because obviously because the first one was 350,000.
350. 13 million.
Whoa.
What did the second one
made 11 million worldwide.
Yeah.
That's probably why we didn't get
a proper
too much more until 20 something years later.
The second one.
The second one made was 3.6 million, made just under 6 million worldwide.
That's
not bad actually. That's a success.
It's like 10 times its budget.
That's a success.
Like they gave him 10 times more money.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
And yet it feels like...
That seems like a lot, doesn't it?
It feels like they didn't utilize... Considering what he did with the first one to the second one.
I think it's all that last 30 minutes though. The big battle scenes and the sets for that and the costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
In the second one.
It is a full...
the second one. Sorry.
I'm saying the second one doesn't feel like a $3.5 million movie.
Probably shot on better cameras and all the stop motion and the animation as well. Probably.
Maybe Bruce Campbell was like, I want more money.
I want $3 million.
I know what you can do with $350,000. You're going to give me $3.15 million.
I'll be really good in this one.
I'll actually try this time. Groovy. I love when the twin is birthed. So it starts as a head and then actually forms out into a full body out of Ash. And he's like, I'm the badass and you're the good ass. I was like, that's pretty funny. I was like, it's such a corny line. But Ash knows straight away.
Their interaction, I was like, how he's like...
because it's so over the top. Like the bad Ash is so like almost mustache twirlingly doing it.
Because it's like when you look at it, be like bad Ash, you'd be like, I feel like you're almost like the good Ash because it's almost just like, oh, you're little, and you're like, I'm not remotely scared by you at all. It's almost like how because like how he's like. Like in this one, how he like goes and gets his bullet. Like it's really like you're the bad one, Like it's so like you can see why this is like you were not rated R at all.
Oh no, God no! This is almost like Evil Dead for kids.
It's like the epitome of an M-rated movie.
But Ash has been in this situation before, so he knows I got to chop this dude up and I got to bury him. Like, there's dismemberment is the only option.
Yeah, like at least he's smart enough at this point to be just like, I know what to do.
What to do?
I'm not
right
even
now.
gonna fall for like, oh, but it's me. Like, no, it's not. Yeah.
And then once he's buried him, Ash continues his quest and finds not just one Necronomicon, but 3. And he was given the phrase that would find the right one, which is great. So without even he's like, let's just see what's in this book. One of them's a vortex that swallows
which
him up.
Makes it, which brings out the whole
the tongue
which is cool. Which is cool how his face gets
it is really
long
cool.
and everything.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
The other book bites him, so he's got a Necronomicon biting his hand. So then he's like, all right, let's try and say
process of elimination. It'll be this one.
it's this book, and we need to say what the phrase. I can't remember the phrase, but he forgets to say, and he does the and hopes to trick it, and nothing happens. So he just steals the book. He just picks it up and runs anyway, which I thought was hilarious. It's like the most Ash thing to do. Like, fuck it, let's just have some fun.
Yeah, like, oh, I've been like time travel to 1300 AD. Me stealing a book's probably the least of my problems right now.
While Ash is running away, badass Ash, the reanimated Ash, comes back to life, and he's disfigured, deformed. He's more of a Deadite than a human now. And he unites the Deadite army. Is like, nah, we're going to go kill them all. So it's kind of fun that they're like, the Deadites are finally going to work together.
Finally.
Sheila is abducted by a flying Deadite and pulled away, so she gets possessed too. Poor Ash. Poor Sheila. Rest in peace, old fella.
Like, poor Ash. He'd be like, all right, sexist. Like, Sheila gets possessed.
Poor Sheila.
Oh, poor Ash.
Poor Ash.
Got to deal with another possessed
He was
woman.
so in love, and now it's
she's
Linda
possessed.
2.0. And Arthur and Henry team up. They put aside their differences.
God,
I feel like every time I say King Arthur, you're going to be like, oh, God.
It's the weirdest sentence to be like, yep, King Arthur and King Henry are like, look,
They team up.
I know we've done some shit.
I know this is the 1300s, and we are known for things that aren't very humane, but we need to.
We can't have dead people,
We can't have Deadites. We need to work together. So there's a fight training montage of Ash training all the knights in combat with their spears and stuff. It's so good. And then,
all that's missing is literally like a Team America montage. Motherfucking montage.
and then, like Pete said, there's still at this point probably about 40 minutes, half an hour of the movie to go.
And most of that is this
battle scene.
sequence.
This battle scene where I think the makeup on the Deadites and the practical effects they used was really cool. Probably, again, where a lot of the 13 million went. Because they do look great. They look awesome.
And there is actually a lot of, there's a lot of people in this scene.
Oh, totally. It's a reasonably big battle scene, right? It's quite cool. I love the dynamite arrows. They have the dynamite on the arrows, and it's like, wait, and they're all freaking out because they got dynamite that's about to blow up. Ash being there, cool and suave, and he's like, fire. And the battle begins, and it's just mayhem. It's really what was that say?
It was very Donald Trump,
it was very
fire. We gotta kill China. Fire.
I have the best chainsaws out of everyone who's got chainsaws. Pure mayhem. It is mayhem. It is action packed.
It's the army. It's darkness. It's the army of darkness.
They're called Deadites. Hey, they're saying it. I didn't say that. That's what they're calling them. Deadites. Could you?
It'd almost be like, hey, the wall was already there. I didn't build the wall.
I'm going to defend it, though, with dynamite arrows.
I thought your Donald Trump's very almost like Brooklyn.
I don't do a good impersonation of him. Give me a Schwarzenegger. I'll do him any day of the week. Trump, not so much. It's just and it's not great combat. You're not being like, this is the John Wick of the Evil Dead franchise. But it's fun, and it's just insanity, and there's so much death and destruction. How do you top that? You bring out a windmill car. Car.
Hey,
more windmills in
all
movies.
of a sudden, windmills are feeling pretty fucking good now, aren't they?
Pete's just like, I just want to say from day one, I was a fan of windmills.
Yeah.
I love
I'm
the
almost
windmills.
like the windmill comes out and I'm like, Leo, there it is.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a windmill. There's a windmill. And Ash just uses it to obliterate and destroy it. And this is probably like the goriest moments of the movie where, aside from the blood coming out of the well, is just blood and guts and gore everywhere. Then we get the Ash v Ash sword battle, which I thought was pretty fun. You know, badass, good ass, Ash.
Yeah.
It was fun. He manages to good Ash sets bad Ash on fire, kicks him off the building, but then he revives as a skeleton and comes back to try and kill Ash again. Sheila somehow, I can't remember how, but she then is not a Deadite anymore. She comes back to normal. Is it the necklace? Was it the necklace again? Because there's the black necklace in this one. So
I kind of
okay.
I
Who knows?
lost it amongst
There's a lot.
everything.
There's
I
a
was
lot
like-
happening.
I was like, oh, Annabeth Davids is Annabeth Davids again. So there you go.
And Sheila awakens. Oh, no, sorry, no. Ash's skeleton is killed and that breaks the curse. That brings Sheila back. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Hey, I know you're coming here for expert opinions on the film and I apologize. We got there in the end.
I was like, when did they ever come here for expert opinion?
My favorite part of the film, Arthur and Henry unite forces. They hug it out. And as a history man, that's how I wish it happened. You know, I don't know history. I'm just making this up. You look at me like there's something coming out of this. I'm like, no. I'm like, not at all. But then we go back to the present day. And Ash is working at his...
At the hardware store!
Shop Smart, Shop S Smart.
I actually like that. Yeah, Shop S Smart, Shop Smart, yeah.
And he's retelling this whole story to a worker. Do you know who that worker is?
No.
Ted Raimi, brother of Sid Raimi.
Actually, yeah. Who is credited as like Theodore Raimi, I think.
Okay, there we go.
Oh. Yeah.
Ted now, he's actually a pretty respected actor, especially in the video game community. He's done some pretty fun stuff in video games.
Is it The Quarry?
He's in The Quarry.
In The Quarry.
Yeah, really fun video game. Okay. And he's just like, couldn't give a shit, to be honest. He's just like, none of this is real.
And then I love that like he's told that story. And then you imagine that story probably took... That was
a long time
that
to
probably
tell.
felt like at least like, you know, like a 40-minute story of it. So you just go, so you've just been telling the story for 40 minutes amongst work. And then that girl who's just like, I really like listening to your story.
heard your
You're like this
story.
creepy bitch who's walked into a store and just gone, I'm just going to overhear this conversation.
I think she was a worker. I think she had a tag on.
Oh.
I think.
Either way,
she's just like, yeah, I like your story.
And then...
The Deadite comes out of nowhere. There's Deadites in
and then they frame her as if she's like this character we should be giving a shit about.
Yeah. Like, oh, we got to save her.
Yeah.
Ash smashes the cabinet.
Ash smash.
Smashes the glass, pulls out a shotgun that is like the lever action. So he's like, bang, bang, bang.
I love how they
That's
like
awesome.
they speed this up, and then he does it, but it's like when it cuts to the woman dodging it, she's only like every now and then it'll be like one bullet, but he's just like, I'm like, how are you
unloading?
Like how are you missing her? Like I was like, all of those shots should be you know, and stop shooting in a straight line. Fucking do this. Just shoot. Oh.
The Prometheus argument. And he kills the Deadite. He's holding the shotgun. He's holding his new babe. And he says, hail to the king, baby.
And
Cut to black. Army of Darkness. Obviously not as critical, not as box office success.
No.
actually the one that would be considered like a flop.
Yeah. But arguably the one that I think probably has the highest cult following rewatch value potentially. Like, I don't know. Yep. Cool.
I didn't like this.
Is this
You like
the
this
one that
one?
I was just like, it was too like
much.
there are bits of it obviously that I but overall I was like it's too ridiculous.
Too over the top.
I think because I know it's Evil Dead.
Yes. Yeah.
Like if I hadn't
Yeah.
seen the original and I just had probably like you,
Yeah.
been like, oh, you know, and if I grew,
totally.
But to me, I was like, nah, it's too silly.
I would
It
agree
goes
that it's my
into-
least favorite
yeah.
out of the four. But so
I think it's just nostalgia for me.
Nostalgia, yeah, that's fair.
This was the first one I ever saw.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I didn't know it was an Evil Dead
Well,
No,
because
totally.
Like, this is a really cool
it's
character.
never really been marketed as an Evil Dead.
No,
movie.
totally. And
I
it's
was
called
a
Army
kid
of
as well.
Darkness.
Like,
Yeah, 'cause
it's
I
quite
mean,
a kid's
It's quite
film.
It
accessible
really
for
is.
kids.
Yeah.
It's what you would call like a teenager horror film. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, but it's one of those movies where, like, because I remember like renting this when I was like 12 or something.
Yeah.
And being like, and knowing that it was part of it. But you watch it and you just go, oh, but no. I was really watching it, just going, oh, I just kind of want something else. I just wanted.
Yeah.
I think I just wanted
Once
more.
Because that was my main criticism of it, is that it's the least Evil Dead feeling of the three, but I still had fun with it. I am a sucker for things that are just so absurd. I'm like, firstly, how did this get made? And secondly, like,
how did
just
you give this 13?
$13 million.
Like, in some ways, I guess it reminded me like a little bit of like Your Highness.
Yeah.
Except
And I love Your Highness. No, that's a great movie. But obviously, with its commercial failure, it was 22 years since 22 between Army of Darkness and the Evil Dead.
Okay?
So much maths. It's not my strong suit. Do you know what it is? History. Since Evil Dead was somewhat rebooted, it is a continuation of sorts in the sense of it's the cabin, it has the Book of the Dead, it follows the same foundations and formula. However, with director Fede Alvarez, who has made arguably one of the better horror films of the last 10 years with Don't Breathe as well, by the way, and this, immediately makes it a darker tone. He goes, what if Evil Dead was actually fucked up?
Yeah, not
with
once do you really like go, oh, this is like there's comedy. Like this is.
It is super dark. It is super, super dark. It is, 2013, critics score 63%, audience score 64%.
That's actually lower than I thought.
Because I remember all the marketing for this movie when it came out. So it's R18, and I turned 18 the year this came out.
Right.
I did not see it in the cinemas, but I remember seeing the campaigns being like the most terrifying there we go. The most terrifying film you will ever experience is literally the tagline on the poster. And I remember the notoriety of how like fucked up this movie was. And then I saw it when it came out on DVD and I was like, I loved it. I thought it was great. The audience score 64 sort of shocks me a little bit. I feel like this is actually a really well-made movie and gives you everything you want in a sort of slasher horror film. So I'm a little shocked by that. But 2013's Evil Dead, 5 friends head to a remote cabin where the discovery of a Book of the Dead leads them to unwittingly summon up demons living in the nearby woods. That's pretty much verbatim the first movie.
I was just about to say.
It's the same thing. So
did you see this in the cinemas?
No. I think I saw it a couple of years after it came out.
Right.
And loved it. I saw this when I looked the other day. I saw the score. I gave it then. And really loved it.
You have a 4.5. Were you telling me?
4.5.
Yeah.
Insane.
I wonder if that score is from a lot of people that
At the
were so
time.
invested in the old
Maybe, yeah,
trilogy
because
and
this is
didn't like this way it
potentially,
went.
yeah. This is definitely a detour.
It's a huge detour.
A huge detour because the foundation is set. Like it's literally the same movie.
So this one was originally. So I remember hearing about it, and I remember contacting Sony.
Yeah,
and was like, "Is anything happening with Evil Dead?" And they were like, "At this rate, this movie's not getting a theatrical release in Australia."
Right.
Because of how violent it is?
Well, because of how violent it is and also the whole argument of like horror never does well in Australia.
Yeah, okay.
Then it opened in the United States.
Yes.
And did gangbusters.
Yes.
And then it was pushed as it did part of the Gold Coast Film Festival.
Oh,
So
okay.
they played it for like, it was like one of those like
One night only, yeah.
Played the Gold Coast Film Festival. Sold out.
Nice.
Reaction was like insane. And then Sony were like, all right.
Such a good audience movie.
So it's like, so we've had an awesome box office in America and we've had a great reaction in Australia. Let's put this out in cinemas, but in quite a limited capacity. So, but no preview screenings for critics.
Just came out.
Yeah, okay.
But did you watch it in the cinema?
So I saw it at the Gold Coast Film Festival.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I was like, I feel like this is the only chance I'm going to see in the cinema.
Totally, yeah.
And
Worth
was
it?
like, it was so good. And
Audience
then-
experience?
Yeah. And then when I knew that it was coming out again,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to see this with like, because I went there with one of my friends who she was working as part of the Gold Coast Film Festival.
Right,
So
yeah,
she
yeah.
was like, I can get you a ticket. I was like,
Nice.
sweet. And then
It's all about who you know,
I was
baby.
like, I'm taking like
people you
I
want to, yeah.
So I saw it again in the
That's
cinemas.
exciting.
So I'm very, very happy that it got in the cinemas. And then I'm also very happy that horror has also seemed to... It seems to be more and more getting traction in Australia.
Totally, yeah.
Like the fact that Evil Dead Rise is not only going to cinemas, but like...
It's getting like a lot of buzz.
We're getting... It's like... Pre-reaction's great.
Yep.
We're getting a preview screening of it.
Yeah.
Like even though it's R-rated, because R-rated movies tend to not get preview screenings
Yes,
because they
yeah.
look at it as it kind of limits how
The
many people
audience can go see it, yeah.
But when the movie's big enough,
Yes.
you know,
Wolf of Wall Street, for example.
Wolf of Wall Street, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. Yeah, that's right.
The Suicide Squad was originally rated R when they dropped it.
Yeah, that always shocked me because then watching it, I was like, that's an anime movie.
But then you get something like Midsommar and like
Well, Beau was
Beau
Afraid
Was
coming out,
Afraid,
it's
which
looking
is
like we're not
probably
getting a
not getting
screening
a
for that.
preview screening. But also those movies are much more niche.
Very niche. Very, very niche.
But,
Speaking of it being a success,
Yeah.
$17 million budget made $97.5 million worldwide. So that's a bona fide hit. That's
And
a
like
fucking hit.
over half of that is US.
US Canada. $25 million opening weekend.
Yeah.
Which is
So
fucking great.
That's with inflation. That's got to be almost less than Army of Darkness budget.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, probably. The
Yeah,
smaller budget
probably.
then, yeah. So because 17 million is
That's-
the mid. That's in that time, like that was the mid-level budget movie.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? Like that's like
And
that's
that's-
anything
and that-
between 15 and 30. You're like, oh yeah, that's
and
a
to me
modest
that's
budget.
very Sony horror movie being like,
Oh,
we're going to
God,
give
yeah.
because they look at it and go 17 million. They're like,
That's Screen Gems sort of
yeah,
thing.
but
yeah.
17 million. They just go, we probably don't need to make too much
Yeah,
for this to be
yeah.
like. You make 30,
Yeah.
and you've probably
Yeah.
got your money back.
But as we've said, it is easily the darkest. Like how I said, I found Evil Dead more just slightly more disturbing on a level. I found this one quite dark.
Yeah.
like I
from
loved
the opening, it tells you this is not going to be a Sam Raimi
and
Evil
it's the first Evil Dead to do a cold open too. It's not necessarily connected to the characters we see later on. It's
Yes.
a ritual.
Yep.
In the basement of
Yeah.
you don't know fully it's the Evil Dead basement house yet, but there's
like hills have eyes.
real hills have
Yeah.
eyes. You see that one deformed guy.
Yeah.
There's skinned cats
And
everywhere.
when she just says like, how she's just like, I will rip you apart.
Yeah.
And
Well,
she just
because
says it in the
because at the
Yeah.
beginning, you don't know what's going on.
No.
You know, it's a daughter. She's tied to. She has a bag on her head. It's pulled off. She's tied to a post in there. You find out her dad is conducting the ritual basically, and he's sitting there like very upset. She's gone, Dad, what's happening? What's going on? He pours gasoline on her head, and then the switch from her being normal to possessed
Yes.
is brilliant.
It's really good.
It uses that classic the camera push into her
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
She's like, I'm gonna rip your soul out. I was like, oh fuck. I was like, straight away, you're in.
Burn her.
And then they burn, straight
Yeah.
away. And she's talking about how they're gonna get fucked in hell and we're gonna like rip you all, like rip your bodies apart. And then he pulls out a shotgun, says, I love you, baby. Bang, shoots her in the head. Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this
Yeah. This
in
is
classic Evil Dead tone, this movie's not here to fuck around. We're
Yeah.
straight into
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
We will say this, and it's not spoiling anything. Evil Dead Rise has a cold open too, and it is fucked.
Oh yeah.
It
And the
is-
Evil
I
Dead
think it
Rise
goes over
and
this.
the Evil Dead Rise cold open. After you just go, how the fuck is this connected? And then eventually just go,
You figure out how. They tell you, but like the cold open Evil Dead Rise is like,
Yeah, it's pretty-
holy
yeah, yeah.
shit. And the
Yeah.
the title reveal is fucking
it's really
great. It's fucking great.
When that title reveal, Nick and I both were just like,
So you're in for a fucking treat. But old friends meeting at a cabin. The only people who aren't friends are Mia and her brother. Mia, played by Jane Levy
Oh, she's so
in this
fucking
film,
good
and
in
her
this
brother
movie.
David, and the rest are
Shiloh
friends.
Fernandez.
And she's fantastic
so
in this
fucking
movie.
good.
Oh my god.
I love this story setup for this.
Oh,
I love why
totally.
they're
Yeah, yeah.
there. I
Absolutely.
think it's really clever.
Because when you realize like
The parallels of
what, like
Yeah.
when she's gonna do crazy shit, they're just gonna
They're
go
gonna
nah.
go-
Because like
Yeah.
obviously like
Yeah.
she's a recovering drug
drug
addict.
addict. Yep.
And they're like, look, we go to the cabin. That way, we're completely removed
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Well,
everything.
and they say it's not their first time doing this.
No.
Like they've tried to get Mia clean
so they
for
know
so
that
long.
like
Yeah.
She gets great.
we'll take her to somewhere where there's literally nowhere to run, and
Yep.
just like wear this out.
Yeah.
So it's such a good way of looking at it, being like, because we know that she's going to start doing weird shit, and they'll just pass it off as like, this is just
she's
her
recovering.
Going through it. Like it's
and it's said through the dialogue too that the friends have been there more for her than the brother David has.
Yeah.
And they think he would be the weak link of like when she's like, I want to go home, he's going to be the one to cave and do it because she hasn't been around her when she is bad. And they make comment of she does her speech at the well and pours the drugs down there, and then they're all like, yay, but behind her back they're like, she's done that before. Yeah. She's made a scene about this before. I
like that, like, you, as an audience member, you think, like wow, like, she's really going for it. How she's like, I won't let this shit ruin my life. And you're like, yeah, cool. And then they
call it out.
They're just like, this is like the 5th time this has happened.
And it makes, it's really interesting from an audience perspective because you are automatically thinking she's the protagonist, right? You're automatically like, this is the person I want to go for. But then you're like, oh, remember, she's really like, I don't know what to believe then with her. And it's not even like an unreliable narrator thing, but it's just what am I going to do when something bad happens to her? The ultimate bad thing happens to her because she becomes the first possessed.
And it's like, and then the things that happened. It's so obviously we know that this film obviously has a lot of parallels with the original.
Yes.
So she is the one that
the foundation's fully set.
So she is the one that gets raped by the tree.
Yeah. Yes.
Whereas so it's like, oh, so she's not only our Ash.
No, but she's also our Linda.
She's our Linda.
Yeah.
And then she's also the first one possessed.
Yeah.
And then she's killing everybody.
Yep.
But then she's also
got the one who has to stop.
So it's like, fuck, the amount.
Manic.
Yeah.
And it's fucking awesome.
And it all works.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Well, and you find out she's technically overdosed and technically died. Like medically, she has died at one point. And she was brought back by a defibrillator, but she starts having the withdrawals pretty quick, like that night. And she keeps saying that she smells something dead. Like, I smell that something's dead here, and no one else can really do it. And they're like, oh, it must be just her withdrawals. But I say it all the time, and I've never said it to you guys, but I say it all the time. Always trust the fucking dog, because the dog starts trying to get under the rug, starts smelling under the rug, and they pull it over, and there's blood leading down to the cellar. Again, this movie does not fuck around. We go straight in. It does build up more story than any of the other films beforehand. There's probably about a good 10, 15 minutes of Mia being a drug addict, the relationship with her brother and mother, how the friends are kind of over it at this point. They wanted to get better, but this is almost like the last straw one where they're like, if it doesn't happen again, we're out. Like,
Like, there's only so many times we can
many times you can help. And they open the basement, go downstairs, and they find the Book of the Dead. But what I love is that it's wrapped up in like garbage bag and barbed wire. And it's like do not fuck with this. Do not fuck with this fucking book. But of course, Eric, or as I like to call him, the cunt in the glasses, because I fucking hated him in this movie.
Oh, really?
Not that I hated him, but I was like, of course you're the one who opens the book.
Yeah.
Of course you open the fucking book. He opens the book, takes us to his room and just starts reading it. I don't know about you, but if I picked up a book that I think was made of human skin and you open it and what looks like written in blood is cut the motherfucker, fuck that bitch, like kill.
There's a lot of warning signs in that
There's
book.
a few. There's a couple,
Also, you'd be like, how did you open the book? I had to pull some barbed wire.
Yeah, he had to cut it open.
I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing.
I don't think that's a good thing at all.
But you're like, they're at a cabin with they don't have a TV or anything. You'd be like, just want something to read.
Yeah.
And as he's reading the book, Mia's walking outside and he starts like opening and he gets a paper cut and he gets blood on the book. Mia's walking outside. He starts reading the fucking demon possession words.
Well, he has to sketch them, doesn't he? Like
that's right. Yeah, he does
you can't
that.
actually see them.
Yeah, that's right. He has to highlight them out. And the demon POV shot starts happening and you're like, oh, shit's about to happen. You know what that means in an Evil Dead movie. He's reading. I like how slowly he reads them because it cuts the back through. It's like him reading, demon shot, Mia, him reading, demon shot, Mia. Like the build up is awesome.
Like when you first saw it, did you think that Mia was going to be the one possessed?
No, not at all. No. Just because of how they built up her as the protagonist as well.
Were you the same? Did you sort of expect it to be someone else? Or
Yeah.
And he reads it out. Then we get this movie is full of jump scares, by the way, like good ones too, like really good ones. We get the flash of the demon, the girl who got burnt alive, her face.
Yes.
Demon flies into Mia. She vomits straight away. But as she looks up, what I love is that we kind of actually get to see a physical formation of the demon, and she's standing on the hill, which we haven't seen in an Evil Dead movie before. It's always been this invisible entity. Yeah. Now we kind of be like, is Mia seeing that because she's possessed, or is she seeing it because she's recovering from the withdrawals?
Yeah.
So it immediately puts you into the headspace of like what's real and what's not.
Yeah, and now being like, oh, now when she says she's seeing something, you're like, is she actually seeing something?
And because we get that again because she goes back and she's like, I need to go. Like, I need to go. I feel sick. There's shit happening. And everyone's like, no, you can't. Yeah. She jumps out the window, steals the car. And as she's driving, demon pops up in the middle of the road. She fucking swerves off and crashes the car into the lake.
Fucking bridge.
Yeah. So fucking good. And I love when she crashes into the lake. She gets out. I think this is the best jump scare of the movie. When she's looking out into the lake and then in the mud, the demon just pops up. I was like, that's because it's so well hidden. It is so well fucking hidden. I think Fede Alvarez is such a good filmmaker.
It's a really tense scene.
It's a really tense.
As she's going around the car.
Oh my God.
And he utilizes that tension in Don't Breathe as well. Like you just see him just go, oh, like I get why you went on to make
this fucking movie. Jump scare is great. Mia is running away and then the demon tree gets her. And I feel like this there's no other way to call it, like this rape scene was so much more visceral.
Yeah, this was
gross.
Yeah. This one is like, I mean, the one in the Evil Dead is
still pretty brutal.
Gross. This one is just, it's
violent. It's weird saying comparatively that's more violent, but it is darker.
No,
and
it's just like
brutal.
It's just like the absolute like violation.
Yeah,
it's like the fact that it's like you see it like twisting up and everything.
And even now, because it's the trees as well, but it comes from the mouth of the demon, so you're like, Jesus, Christ.
Like it's
Oh God damn it. Gross. Now and then, I think it's David who walks outside and he sees a bloody trail. So you, like, as the audience, I'm assuming maybe something's happening with Mia, but he follows the trail, and in this little alcove, this little cave, Grandpa, the dog, has been in. I love that his name's Grandpa. It's so sweet. But also, don't fuck with dogs. We've seen what happened in the John Wick franchise when you fuck with dogs. And dog has been injured with a hammer because we see a quick shot of Mia. Like we're shown it's Mia because I'm assuming that's what David is assuming has happened. I think he's assuming Mia might have done it, but obviously it's the demon that has hit the dog with a hammer. For fuck's sake. And David is now like, what the fuck is going on with Mia? Mia comes home. And this is where, like, obviously the rape scene is very disturbing, but this scene to me, I was like, oh, this is kind of good creepy. When Mia takes the boiling shower.
Oh, yeah.
And the water just gets hotter and hotter, and it starts like bubbling her skin. I was like, oh my God.
Because I think that's
sitting there and writing this shit.
That's also something that, like that's something that we all know what that hot.
Totally.
So you're watching it just going,
and to be so still.
Yeah, just to sit there and just be like, oh, that's
it's so gross. And David walks in and he's like, what the fuck, Mia? Pulls her out, gets her in the car, and they start driving away. And that's when we find out the bridge has been flooded over because it starts raining. So they're like, great, we're stuck. How good. But in the car, Mia is convulsing and vomiting, but smiling through it. She's like got a massive demonic grin and she's like, all this fucking shit coming out of her mouth.
I feel like the emotional toll this would have taken on her, I think, as an actress.
It's like Florence Pugh in Midsommar.
It's one of those just performances where you just go throw yourself all the way in, and then after it just be like, I need to take a call. And then you go, oh, no wonder you went to do like Jane the Virgin. You probably just wanted like
Jane the Virgin, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist.
I didn't mean Jane the Virgin. I mean,
she's done. However, I did see
she did do Don't Breathe right after this.
She did do Don't Breathe right after this, but she did that. She's happy. But I saw her do a promo image with Alyssa and Lily for the new one. So I'm glad that she's still. How good would it be?
I just saw her last night. So I watched this yesterday afternoon. And then I just started the first 2 episodes of the 3rd season of Dave.
Oh, is she in it?
She's in the 2nd episode. And I was like, I can't believe I've literally just watched.
And like so many people wanted a proper sequel to this with her because they were just like, she is incredible.
Yeah.
Imagine her coming back into
you think
this.
about it, if Evil Dead Rise does well,
which I think it's tracking
it'd be kind of cool if like Mia and
Oh, totally.
whoever survives Evil Dead Rise.
If anyone survives.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're like,
They get back to the cabin. Possessed Mia grabs a shotgun, tries to shoot David, like hits him in the shoulder, so doesn't kill him. And that's when we get, I think it was the trailer line, but I love the delivery of this, like, you're all going to die tonight. And I was like, I was like, this is going to be fun.
and this is when, like, the way that everybody dies is you just go, oh, you're really not fucking around.
Oh,
with
no.
this. Like, because like I remember the trailer
Yeah.
alluded to some of the shit, and
Yeah.
like it had, you saw like the cut it. You saw that, and then you saw that there was. I remember 2 shots in the trailer. One of them was the hand and the meat. And it briefly went down, and then the other one was Jessica Lucas turning.
Oh,
and the fact that she just like
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. So I remember and I remember being a bit scared when I went to this screening because I was like, I don't know what this, and you keep hearing this is the most terrifying film you'll ever see and all that sort of shit, and I was like, oh, I feel like this is going to be like really fucked.
And it was.
And I mean, it's pretty fucked.
Because after she says you're going to die tonight, she starts vomiting the blood everywhere. Yeah. And they're like, nah, down to the cellar with you.
Yeah.
So they lock her into the cellar because as we've seen in the previous 3 movies that have 2 movies that have cellars, it works out really well.
Especially when the sellers are just like, you don't need to build them where they can push it up and put their head.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But it's such a creepy, iconic.
And
her one in this is so
really
creepy. It's
like,
iconic. It's genuinely iconic.
Yeah.
So they lock her in the cellar. The bathroom mirror starts like moving the reflection of Olivia. The book starts moving on itself. I just wanted to say, sorry, I forgot one of the notes back. When she's in the boiling shower, that's in the book as well. Like Eric sees that in the book.
Yeah.
Olivia gets possessed. She pees herself in a very just sort of like exorcist fashion as well. But I was like,
Olivia was the one character that I was like, oh, I
wish nothing bad would happen to you.
I really didn't want anything because I was like, she just had, yes, all of the friends were like, look, we're not dealing with this shit anymore. But like the brother hadn't been there enough.
No.
Eric
is annoying.
Well, Eric because Eric essentially starts
Yes,
it.
he does.
Yeah, true.
And I can't remember the other girl's name.
Mia. No, not Mia.
Mia.
I can't remember her name.
It's right. It's right there.
Sorry, I should be producing the show. Natalie.
Which
is David's girlfriend.
Yes.
She just doesn't have enough character development. No.
Totally. Yeah.
Like she kind of, and she's very like, oh, I don't want to be here, blah, blah, blah. Like Olivia comes across as like Mia's main friend.
Yeah, totally.
And like, I want you to get better, but I'm also not going to deal with this shit.
Yeah.
So when things start happening to Olivia, I was like, fuck. And she also, and I was like,
she gets a grotesque one.
Like, I know that everything that else, like Eric goes through a lot.
Yeah,
Eric gets beaten the fuck up in this movie.
Natalie's fucking and all like just fucking
yeah.
But I was like, but I don't know. Olivia was like, when she just cuts like it's the fucking face. It's just
it
like,
is.
and it's the
that's what happens next. So she pees herself, and then they walk into the bathroom.
That
and
shot too, where she's walking.
It's
and
the
just,
reveal,
and just,
yeah.
like stops, and then I was like,
that's
yeah.
It's the obviously it's like sleep paralysis. You're trying to move and you just can't fucking do it.
Yeah.
And then the reveal of when she turns the head and she's sliced from like cheekbone down to lip, and you can see the teeth through there.
Is it Eric or David that walks?
I think it's David who walks in.
And you hear the
slicing of
it. You're just like, and you're like, that's
another scene that sort of fucked me like that in a different movie was Hereditary with the piano wire.
Oh, totally.
When you can hear it and then when you see it and you're like, fucking hell.
I remember that screening.
Oh my God, that screening, because I remember we've spoken about, we were both there, but we didn't know each other at this point. That scene.
A different time.
That scene, and then the scene of the reveal when Tony Collette's in the corner of the room. Oh my God.
But also the other, I love the other collective moan of that screening was when you saw the head.
Yes.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah, with the ants all over and stuff.
Just everyone in the cinema was just like, oh.
I'll be watching that again for Beau Was Afraid. Yeah, I'm going to do that in Midsommar.
I haven't watched the director's cut of Midsommar.
Neither have I. So and I want to watch it. We'll organise time.
Well, that'll be,
We'll find times in our schedule. My people will talk to your people. So Olivia's
But that's also in the book as well.
Yes,
Isn't
the,
it?
the face getting cut open. Yeah. So then Olivia goes nuts and starts stabbing Eric with the needle in the face.
Which you were probably just like, suck it, Eric.
Fuck you, Eric. No, come on.
But he just, it's like, because he does, has to.
There's one that goes through the glasses.
Yeah, I was like,
This is what the
and like
people
we're
are
all
tuned
talking,
in for.
and we're all talking about like, you know, obviously like the John Wick 3 with the eye, and you just be like, and then I said how I think Brightburn
does the
is
best
more
one.
violent with it,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is
is
because
fun.
it's like it's the tiniest. And the fact that he's just like, he's like,
he fights back. Eric fights back and he beats her to death.
So, like, as much as you don't like him, he puts up a fight.
He does. No, he totally does.
He's one of those
just
guys
slightly annoying.
But he's one of those guys where by the end of it, you just be like, "Whoa, don't you just want to die?"
You'd
He'd be like,
just succumb.
He'd be like, "Don't kill
Succumb
me."
to the injuries, mate. Like it's time to go.
He's like when he pops up again, you're just like, "You're still alive."
It's time to go, Eric.
Yeah.
But he beats Olivia to death by smashing her head in with the sink. And that shot, that overhead shot of like her body, him over it, and like the exploded brain matter everywhere is fucking brilliant. Yeah. But then Eric,
guess, rest in peace, Olivia, old fella.
Hey, rest in peace, Olivia, old mate. You're one of the good ones, old fella. But Eric reveals to David what he's been reading in the book. And like he's like, this, I know what's happening. He's like, he didn't really say like, I did it, but he was like, I'm telling you what's happening right now.
Like, do you want to know why I just had to beat my friend's face in with a sink? I read something from a book. I didn't want, look, I'm not claiming responsibility.
I didn't write the words. The words were written there. I just said them. But then Natalie gets pulled into the basement and her hand gets bitten by Mia, which then...
This is gross.
This is the gross bit. Bites the hand. Natalie tries to stab Mia with a box cutter. Mia grabs the box cutter. Let's just say this is the box cutter. And she goes to her tongue and goes and slices her tongue.
That was I remember in that screening, like when she grabs it and everyone was like anticipating it.
Yeah.
And everyone was like,
As soon as she opens it all the way up, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, and you're just like, there's only so many things that you can do with that. And then when it gets closer and closer, you just like, don't do it. And then you're like, oh, the bitch is doing it. And like a lot of people were turning away. But I feel sick. But I was like, it's one of those things where I was watching it going, oh, don't do it. Oh, it's so gross, but I need to.
I need to see what this looks like.
Oh, it's just like.
Again, we'll say cheese grater. But on top of that, on top of that, she kisses Natalie then. So the blood's just in the mouth. Yeah. It's so fucked. It's so
I love how it's almost just like she cuts her tongue, but then she kisses her, and it's like, two girls kissing. Gross.
Ew, that is gross. Natalie gets pulled out of the basement by David, and then they nail it shut. They chain it shut. There's no way anyone's getting out of this basement, out of this cellar. But because her hand is bitten, Natalie's now possessed.
Yes.
Poor David. And she starts going insane.
Poor fucking Natalie. Again.
It's always
like,
the David's
Natalie's just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah. Oh, poor Ash. Poor David. No, poor fucking Natalie. Her hand's possessed. She starts like convulsing and everything. Her hand. Mia pops out and is like, cut it.
That's when she's put it on. It's so
and then it's
fucking
like, and
good.
then you go look around and you just go, what is that? It's what is it? Like
the electric knife. It's electric knife.
Yeah, and then you just go, oh, you gotta do it. And this was another one where it was like, and you just go, they're not gonna they're gonna show it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I liked how that was used earlier with the really rare roast beef.
Because as soon as you see that, you're just like, someone's dying.
Someone's got to use that.
But then as soon as you get, I was just thinking of the rare roast beef again.
And then it's like, but then you look at it and just go, it doesn't. And you go, it doesn't cut through an arm quite as.
No, not as well. No.
And she's just like, and you can just see how she's just like, oh,
like, that's brutal. Like her reaction. She cuts high. Arm off.
Again. Question.
Yeah.
Would you ever cut your
arm? Like a 120
as she was doing it,
would
I'm
you,
like, okay.
Like a 127 hours situation.
It is coming up the arm, isn't it?
Like,
You've seen what's happened to everyone else.
Would you do it?
I think I would.
Have to try.
I think I would.
I don't know if...
I'm not sure you get through it.
Yeah. I feel like I'd probably in my mind be like, you have to do it. And I probably start and just be like, it hurts too much.
Yeah.
But then it depends. Maybe it gets to a point where you just no longer feel it.
Yeah.
I wonder if you would also just pass out before you get a chance.
And then you
to
almost would go,
but then
I don't know.
think of 127 hours. It's based on a true story.
I don't, like, just thinking now, I don't know if I could do it myself.
Right.
I think I'd almost give it to someone and just be like,
I'd do it for you.
someone
Pete.
cut
and
it
be
off,
like, cut it off because then you've got because if you're doing that, you'd be like, I can stop.
Yeah, that's
if someone else
I'd do
is
it for
doing
you.
it, you do it for me?
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Nick.
Yeah, I'd cut whatever you need to cut off.
Thanks, Nick.
Your dick's possessed too. So.
And then
You're like, oh, it was fine.
And then I'd be
I was like, rest in peace, old fella.
Yeah, and then I'd be like, oh, poor Rhiannon.
Oh god. But there's after she cuts her arm off, there's a power outage, and the book reveals that they need to do a live burial. So there's not dismemberment this time, but to get rid of it,
Oh, there's no dismemberment. And she's like, then why did I do cut my arm off?
But they know they need to bury Mia now. Then now I'll say poor Eric. The nail gun attack. Poor David
Yeah,
as
this
well.
is where you can actually be like, yeah, this sucks. This really sucks.
The nail gun getting shot and just where it's hitting everyone is just... And it's relentless because she goes for it, Natalie does with the nail gun.
I liked the setup of that as well.
Oh,
So
true.
obviously the nail gun's there.
Yeah, because they've used it to block the
to
door
block
at
the
the front
cellar.
as well.
Yeah.
At the door at the front, which I kind
yeah.
of took as a back to the second, the end of the first, where
Yes.
it comes through and knocks
Comes
all
bursting
the door
through the
off.
door. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I like that.
That's a good. Yeah, holy shit. These smarter, more interconnected than we thought.
Good on you, Vetty Alvarez and Rodo Sayagues.
Sagas.
Because also, like, when at the start where you meet Mia, she sat on the yellow delta.
The yellow delta. Yeah,
I
which is
liked
fucking
just
cool.
all those little things.
Yeah.
David then blows Natalie's hand off with a shotgun.
Yes.
Because obviously, like,
And then it's like you realize it was like, she's fucking got no arms now.
I know.
Like,
no arms, Natalie.
poor day.
And then
Like,
she
now
comes,
you'll have to now you have to give head like a fucking without any.
and she comes back to normal. The
Yes.
demon does the tricking. She's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Baby, my face hurts," and you're like, "Oh my fucking god!"
I actually did think poor David there.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not sure if I could console her right now.
No, because he makes the right decision.
She's like,
though.
give me a head. Oh. Give me a stump.
But he makes the right decision to that and starts throwing gasoline around the
Yeah.
house
Yes,
to burn the
Yeah,
fucker
I
down.
don't like. I feel like I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could kill
A loved one.
a loved one. Like I feel like the fire, but like throwing gasoline and then lighting the ditch or a shotgun.
But if you
I don't
had
know.
to
I don't know if I
viscerally
could. I don't know if I
murder,
could actually put a knife.
Chainsaw
I don't know if I
them.
could do that.
Yeah.
You'd want the quick death.
Yeah,
which
feel
I think
give me
burning
a
was
gun,
not the
'cause
quick
then
death.
then I can just point it and just go. And
I
shoot.
love that this episode has brought out the moral conundrums of would
I
we
just-
kill
would
our
we-
partners?
because I know what because like think about it when you like
when you're watching the movies,
but
you-
like
yeah,
when
would
you
I do
like
this?
when you
Yeah,
cut
totally.
yourself and you think
Oh, yeah.
the amount of pressure you'd have to
yeah,
put a knife into someone. I don't know if I could.
it's pretty
do it.
fucking mental. Yeah. I don't know. I've never tried. Mia starts singing.
He said that too quickly.
Yes.
I've never tried. I don't know. I've never tried.
One of life's mysteries. There, Mia starts singing her creepy song to
yeah.
David as well.
It's
with
what
her
is
head
it?
out of the I can't remember the song,
But it's like the song that the
parents used to sing to them. Yeah. That's a cool fucking line.
Yeah.
Anyway, who's skipping ahead? And lightning strikes the tree outside and sets the tree on.
I just realized it was remake. 95% of the remake was shot in chronological order.
That's cool. And then,
That's
then by the end of the film, you
when
need.
she's covered in blood, they'd be like, we can't really go back now. Because
Well, when you
costumes.
also then cover the set in blood, you're like,
yeah.
literally. And David finds the chainsaw, so he starts digging the grave. He goes down to the cellar to get Mia. Mia then tries to drown David in the little water well that's down there. Guess who comes back?
Eric.
Old Eric.
Eric is back.
Rest in peace, old fella. He comes back, and I was super excited at this point because in big letters in an exclamation mark, the live burial sacrifice is back on. I got really into the end of this movie.
Probably because in his mind, because they're like,
It's because of Eric.
Eric.
I was like, Eric. I was like, I like you now. And Eric and David managed to overcome Mia. They put the plastic bag on her head. They take her out to the grave.
Oh, yeah.
And when she starts talking, she's like, David, why are you doing this to me? And I was like, oh my God. I was like, it is so fucking... Why do you hate me, David? And I was like, fuck me. I was like, this performance is so goddamn
In some
good.
ways, I was like, if they did this a few years later, it's almost like I could almost see like Mia Goth
Oh yeah, for sure.
doing this.
If you haven't seen Infinity Pool yet, and Mia got the scene where she's berating him from the car. Oh my God. Infinity Pool's fantastic. Actually getting an Australian cinema release May 11th.
Yay. Rated R.
Rated R, so it could be uncut.
Well, no, it is uncut.
Uncut?
Is it?
Yeah, we're getting the uncut.
So exciting.
I actually want to see that in the cinemas.
Yeah.
I will definitely watch in the cinema. David is trying to ignore Mia, but he ends up putting her in, digging the hole, filling the grave, killing her, and then waits for a little bit of time, digs her back up, and then tries to bring her back to life with his like homemade defibrillator.
The weird
And it doesn't work initially, but Mia then starts looking normal, so you kind of think like, oh, okay, the ritual's worked. And it ends up bringing her back to life, which is insane. And there's this nice tender moment between David and Mia. Yeah. They've overcome it. They think they're all good. They've won. But then fucking Eric, possessed Eric, comes through and kills David. It's so fucking upsetting. It's such a
because also you're like, oh, me and David are finally like, they've
done. They're like, you think they're finished, but it's not a good horror movie without ripping your soul out one more time. Yeah. But as David's dying, he grabs the shotgun and shoots the gasoline and manages to blow up the house, which kills him and Eric, and blows Mia back. Then Mia is escaping under the house because she's now getting followed by the demon girl who's been following her the whole time. And she goes under the house. So fucking good. Blood starts raining blood. Yeah. And I think it creates some of the most iconic shots in the Evil Dead franchise. Just the way the blood's falling, it is so visceral, gross, but that it's weird to say it's like looks beautiful on screen.
Oh no,
it looks stunning.
The amount of red is and this is where
so much fun.
And then in tune with like all the other films, it's like this is where even though everything's been pretty batshit till this point, this is where they just go, nah, we're gonna give you a good finale.
Totally.
That's just reminded me of the scene where is it Eric that's chainsawing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
yeah.
And then it's
that
the scene
blood
outside. The bulb's gone red.
The bulb's gone red.
It's
so well done.
Yeah,
it's so well done. And actually, X did it last year as well when the first kill happens and it covers the lights on the car.
And
awesome.
Good.
I feel like Mother
did it as well. It does that as well.
The blood rounds on the light bulb.
The hanging light bulb.
Yeah,
it always looks good.
It's a good shot.
It always looks good. But as Mia's running away from this demon, she goes under the house, she finds the chainsaw, and she's hiding in the wall. Now, before I mention this bit, there has been one scene that has stuck with me. I watched Evil Dead 2013 yesterday. It was only the second time I'd ever seen it. Mm-hmm. First time was back in 2013.
Oh, wow.
There is only one shot I fully remembered from that film. It is when the machete is getting stabbed through towards Mia.
Oh, yeah.
And the machete slices through her knee.
Yeah.
It's not like I can take that. I can't take that.
There's a sound as well.
Slowly it gets pulled out of her knee.
Yeah.
Fucked me up. And yesterday I was sitting there and I was like, I was like, this is not fun. It is so fucking gross.
I'll tell you the one shot that always stays with me for this is when the car.
Yeah.
Oh god.
When she has to,
when she has
to pull her arm out, and you're just watching it. You're just watching it like and you're like
skin ripping stuff. Because then so she gets sliced in the knee, manages to escape, and then there's like a final showdown between Mia and the demon.
Abomination Mia.
Abomination Mia, as we're seeing credited on IMDb. And hiding behind the car gets flipped onto Mia's hand. Mia's hand is stuck, and the only way to get out is to
it's because like she's just out of reach of
the chainsaw.
Yeah.
And so when she's crushed that and the demon's coming, she has to rip her hand. We see skin, we see bone, we see muscle all rip.
Yeah.
She picks up the chainsaw. And I'm glad this is up here because the demon or Abomination Mia says, I will feast on your soul. And Mia revs the chainsaw and goes, feast on this motherfucker. And it is such a good shot.
Right. It's like right in the middle of her fucking head.
Straight through. It's like a side-on shot of them. They're silhouetted by the fire of the house. The blood rain's falling. And the sheer amount of blood that is getting flown away by this chainsaw.
But I love it because she's doing that, and then because the girl's like Abomination Mia's body is kind of like in a
she's like kneeled down. She's kneeled
so
down.
She's just like doing
getting
this,
jiggled.
just like
It is so fucking good. Mia's like fucking screaming die and shit.
Yeah.
Cuts the head in half. The demon body gets swallowed into the ground.
Yeah.
Evil Dead, 2013. Now, fucking great movie. Did you know there's a post-credit scene?
Yes, I did. I only read this yesterday.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a fun little post-credit scene. It's just like a dimly lit Ash who just turns to the camera and goes, groovy, which is fun. It was fun because I think he served as a producer on this one as well. So he's still very attached to this franchise and loved this remake. So
yeah, right. Cool.
2013. So is this your favorite out of the franchise?
It's my favorite out of the franchise. Yeah.
Pretty high up there for you as well.
Yeah.
Would it be Evil Dead 2, this one for you? Or Evil Dead Army of Darkness, this one?
I think it would be this one, to be honest.
Yeah,
actually,
it's pretty fucking good because I think it's my second favorite.
To me, it goes Evil Dead 2013.
Yeah.
Evil Dead Original, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. Yeah.
Right.
That's my ranking.
And I'm intrigued to see where Evil Dead Rise fits into that. Because
well, I want to rewatch it.
I want to rewatch it too, but at this point in time, it's up there for me because it's fucking great.
Yeah, it's great.
But Evil Dead Rises in cinemas April 20. Please go see it if you are a fan of these films, because in my review that you would have read or watched already, I said it is the fun that the original trilogy has. Like, there's a really fun horror film with the violence and the brutality of the remake.
Yeah. So because the remake
is dark.
Whereas this one leaned.
The possessed Alyssa Sullivan is the possessed. Says funny shit and you laugh. Like, she is really good.
And she said that like Jim Carrey was
an influence
because she just fucking like contorts her body and she's really.
I've not seen the trailer.
Don't watch the trailer.
But it's
it's a good mix of both. I think you're going to have a good time.
Yeah,
so please see it. It's fucking great.
Really fun.
April 20th. Oh, I cannot wait. I cannot bloody wait. And in saying that, obviously our reviews will be out. But like I said, we both interviewed Alyssa and Lily. They will be out on the Monday after this episode comes out. So if you're listening on the Friday or the Friday or the weekend that it drops on the 17th, be on the watch out for our interviews. They are fantastic.
Good times.
Before we let you go and before we let you know what our next month's episode is, Josh, where can everyone find you?
Yeah.
If they want to find you on the internet.
Plug yourself.
Plug away.
Up the back door. Sorry.
Mainly on Instagram, Film Notions, and Letterboxd as well. Film Notion.
Letterboxd.
It'll be in the description as well.
Yeah.
Peter Gray, where can they find you?
Where can they find me? They can find me on Instagram and Twitter. At RatedPDG. You can find me. I do a lot of things for the AU review. You can find me on Rotten Tomatoes, or if you just look at like movie posters and movie trailers right now.
I'm fucking everywhere.
Yeah. No, it's been a good couple of weeks.
It's been a good couple of
the James Bond doco.
That was a cool one.
I was like, that's cool.
That was a cool one.
You should see that, by the way.
What's that?
The Other Fellow.
Oh, I see. Right. Is it good?
It's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Interesting. Yeah. And Nicola Barrow, where can they find you?
Nicola Barrow, you can find me
everywhere.
I am everywhere.
On the street corner.
On your favourite street corners, at your mum's house.
Daddy, would you like some sausage?
How dare you sully the great name of Freddie Got Fingered.
Chicken dippers.
Instagram, Twitter, nicksflicksfix, Letterboxd, nicksflicksfix. Fuck, I don't know my own name.
I am on Letterboxd. I've got to properly get on Letterboxd.
Use Letterboxd. It's so fucking good.
I am on there.
It's so good.
And I started, and I was like, I just do so many things. And I'm like,
it took me about a year to properly start
getting into it.
Pretty much once I watch something, I just
it's my Bible now. Yeah. Nova Stream Network for my reviews and interviews and all that shenanigans. So next month, monthly movie marathon, the film we have selected is...
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now, Fast and Furious 10 is coming out, but we did a Fast and Furious. We did an extensive 2-hour and 40-minute episode of Fast and Furious.
And I made a really funny joke that didn't make the cut.
Yeah, we did have to cut that joke.
It was really, it was very insensitive.
It was a great joke, though.
It was really funny. I'll tell you what.
But that was early days. Now we just say what we want.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, it probably would have stayed in than these ones.
But the movie we are covering is Disney's The Little Mermaid, and we are going to watch a small handful of the live action Disney films, but we've spectrumed it. We've gone some good ones like The Jungle Book. And
are we doing The Jungle Book?
I decided I want to do The Jungle Book.
Oh, I didn't. I wasn't aware we were doing that.
Jungle Book and Cinderella. Nice acclaimed ones.
I knew we were doing those. The
But
Cinderella.
we're also going to the other end of the spectrum where Disney may have fucked up. And even though it made $1 billion, The Lion King is abysmal. But you'll hear us talk about why.
I do not want to rewatch.
So we're doing a couple of handful of Disney films leading up to The Little Mermaid.
Which I'm actually looking forward to The Little Mermaid.
Yeah,
I
okay.
haven't watched a trailer. I don't know anything
not.
about it. So.
I think Melissa McCarthy will be good.
Yep.
I think Halle Bailey will be amazing.
Yeah.
I think Rob Marshall's the director. I have faith in him as a director.
Oh, okay.
He did Chicago.
Yep.
I can't say I'm excited for it, but I'm also not. I'm not like
Gotta watch
The Little
it's one of those
Mermaid,
things where everyone's like, not my Little Mermaid, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, fucking
Yeah, but those are
over
fucking
it.
idiots.
But because of I was also, but I'm also,
I obviously don't care about the audience. You're a fucking
but
idiot.
I'm just like, part of me is like, I'm hoping it'll be massively better in comparison to some of the shit we have to watch.
totally.
'Cause I'm so dreading rewatching The Lion King.
Oh, same.
And we're also talking about the
watched
live action Lion King.
I think
No,
for
well, yeah.
Disney, they need it.
Yeah.
Like, especially with these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're definitely not watching Dumbo. Fuck no, we're not watching Dumbo. I don't think I can sit through that again. But that'll be on the next episode of the Monthly Movie Marathon. Thank you all for watching, listening. Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. You can look up Nick's Flicksfix Monthly Movie Marathon to find those. Subscribe, follow. We love you all. Thank you, Josh, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
That was a lot of fun. That was a really fun episode. I'm glad your expertise came in handy as the person
here and there.
Oh, is Ash vs. the Evil Dead worth watching?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It definitely leans into the comedy.
Yeah, totally.
Where is it set in a particular time period?
It's
or is it
set
just
like
its own?
20 or 30 years later.
Okay, so he's
old.
And he's gone through all of the Evil Dead shit.
Oh, yeah, totally.
okay,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then...
And Samara Weaving's in it.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I think the characters that he sort of lines up with are really good.
Nice.
It opens up the world a bit more of the book.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think it's good.
I do want to watch it.
Yeah.
How many seasons is it?
It ended on like it kind of got cut after 3.
And there are only 10 episodes.
and when I say
half an hour episodes.
Okay.
yeah. I've seen the first 2 seasons.
Okay.
I got into the third and I kind of left it. So
Yeah.
Could you
it
just watch the first 2 and be like,
Yeah,
I'm done?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to
And
know.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
I think it's on Stan.
I think
Netflix.
so.
Oh, is it
It's
now?
on Netflix as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. Thank you all for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode of Monthly Movie Marathon. Bye!